meeting roll call.
I would have said here, but I had to be closer. I said I would have.
Howdy. Speaker Albright.
Howdy.
Myself. Howdy. Chair Thornburg. Chair Esparza. Howdy. Chair Caperton. Chair Russo. Chair McDuffie. Howdy. Senator Bell. Senator Bell. Senator Zoller. Howdy. Senator Sheffield. Howdy. Senator Radley. Howdy. Senator Webb. Senator Hemler. Howdy. Senator Whitaker. Howdy. Senator Robertson. Senator Robertson. Senator Tosh. Senator Tosh. Senator Polio.
Howdy.
Senator Layton. Howdy. Senator Beatty. Howdy. Senator Davenport. Howdy. Senator Keever.
Howdy.
Senator Landry. Howdy. Senator Logsdon. Senator Elizabeth Smith. Elizabeth Smith. Cole Young. Senator Young. Senator Verdigay. Senator Menard. Senator Schindler. Oh wait. Senator Weathers. Senator Rachel Soul.
Please stay quiet.
Senator Brown.
Yeah, howdy.
Senator Olson.
Howdy.
Senator Liska. Senator Liska. Senator Pena.
Howdy.
Senator Stevens. Senator Brody Smith.
Howdy.
Chair Fitz.
Howdy.
Senator Wilson.
Howdy.
Senator George Harris. Director Ariza.
Howdy.
Senator Colbert.
Howdy.
Senator McDonald.
Howdy.
Senator Mark Womack.
Howdy.
Senator Lindsey Sullivan. Senator Lindsey Sullivan.
Howdy.
Senator Scoggins.
Howdy.
Please stay quiet.
Senator Grosskubauer.
Howdy.
Senator Hilton. Senator Nidegger. Senator Rogers. Senator Johnson. Senator Lord.
Howdy.
Senator Rooney.
Howdy.
Senator Landis. Senator Nietzsche.
Howdy.
Senator Crumpley.
Howdy.
Senator LaMarche. Senator LaMarche. Senator Crow.
Howdy.
Senator Jody Harris. Senator Jody Harris. Here. Howdy. Senator Riley.
Howdy.
Senator Lang. Senator Lang. Senator Lawson. Senator Bender.
Howdy.
Senator Murad. Senator Reichert.
Howdy.
Senator Kirk.
Howdy.
Senator Cox.
Howdy.
Senator Chaudhary.
Howdy.
With that, we will now, there are no objections, adopt the previous meeting's minutes. Senator Dustin Pulliam will give the invocation of pledges of allegiance.
Straight to here.
Dear God, thank you for bringing all of us here together tonight, senators, guests, and other students. I ask that you bless us as we work to achieve the common good, and as senators, work on personal development, integrity, and building an organizational culture that we can be proud of as we move on into the future of this session, where even when we may disagree on the issues, we are kind, friendly, and respectful and professional to our peers. And I ask that you watch over us and give us a great Senate meeting tonight and let us do good things for this university, the state, and the country. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
With that, the chair has been made aware of numerous items on open forum. First to speak, Tyler Mifflin, Sam Hodges, Jonathan Schindler, Mark Dawson, and Fernando Aguilera. You have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
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 Howdy, fellow senators. As some of you may know, the other senators in me that were sworn last meeting have been removed due to some having removed this something that happened during the procedure. And I just want to say that we all are here to serve. We want to serve the student body. We really qualified to be here. We were all chosen under the same conditions. It was fair for everyone. And we also think that we followed every single rule that we were told to abide by. So we didn't break anything. It was not our fault. It was on the other side, and we're gonna do whatever it takes for us to keep our seats.
We'd like to point out that we were confirmed by 2/3 of the Senate here, and that any attempts to give us possibly speaking abilities or to help us back into our positions by you, we would be forever grateful. This is an extremely important thing to us, and we feel betrayed and hurt by this, and we really want to serve. Please help us do that.
I'm Sam Hodges, and I'm representing the Veterinary Medicine Caucus. And I just want to let you all know that that if you do not allow us to vote tonight on such a crucial issue that's before Senate, that you're not punishing us and you're not punishing the people that interviewed us. You're punishing our caucus and our members that we're here to represent.
Please stay quiet.
So just keep that in mind and realize that if you do not let us vote tonight on this issue that is so crucial, then you're not punishing us. It's on our constituents from our caucuses, and that's who is getting the short end of the stick. Thank you.
Thanks, Antigua.
With that, Camden Breeding. Camden Breeding. You have 2.5 minutes starting in Howdy.
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 My name is Camden Breeding. I'm a junior currently studying electrical engineering. The first point I want to make about Student Bill 6311 is that it helps no one. In the bill it says the investments in the education of these foreign nationals by Texas taxpayers are not repaid. If you look at current Texas law, SB 1528, it says that among other things, if you've resided in Texas for 3 years prior to graduation, you're eligible to receive in-state tuition. Now this is significant because Texas has no income tax. Texas has a consumption tax. So the statement that's in the bill is misleading because if you've lived in Texas, you have paid taxes and you've contributed to the education that you're receiving here at Texas A&M. The second point I want to make is that this bill hurts more than just undocumented students. This bill opposes current Texas law, which is 1528. Now 1528 provides benefits to over 400 individuals here at Texas A&M, conservative estimates show. Over half of those are currently in status individuals. Now that means that there are individuals who are the children of military service members whose parents were relocated out of state just prior to graduation who will not be able to receive benefits if 6311 goes through. This means that international students who have student visas would not be able to receive these benefits. Point 3 that I want to make. This oversimplifies a system that's much more complicated than the authors give credit to. There's a reason that Texas A&M and the state of Texas don't ask for your immigration status, because they don't have the authority or the means to follow that.
1 minute.
The federal government is the only body that has the authority to adjudicate one's citizenship status. Texas A&M has no business dealing with someone's immigration status. So in reality, what we have is a bill that helps no one, hurts many, does nothing, and shows that we Aggies are allowing a few bullies to pass judgment with no rational basis on people they have no right to pass judgment on. And I will not accept this. Hate is not an Aggie value, and I will continue to stand up for the rights of my fellow Aggies to prove that they belong in Texas A&M. Thank you.
Jude Mafaro. You have 2.5 minutes starting in Howdy.
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 Good evening. My name is Jude Magara. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I come here before you to plead with you. SB 6311 is a bill designed to steal the service which we all work so hard to attain, our education. SB 6311 will not only rob a student of the benefit of A&M, but will also rob them of many opportunities in their future. In doing this, you have said, "You are not my fellow Aggie." In doing this, you have said, "You are not my fellow man." In doing this, you will have all but snatched the ring off their finger. This bill will also steal much intellectual talent, not only from A&M, but also from the world. SB 6311 is a matter of basic human rights, which Texas A&M has always claimed to stand for. After the passing of this bill through the Senate, Texas A&M students, current, former, local, and from all over the world, raised their voices in the form of a 1,070 signature petition to tell you SB 6311 is not the opinion of your constituents. I ask you tonight to open your hearts and your minds to diversity and diversity issues on this momentous occasion when we move Texas A&M, the state, and our country into the future.
With that, Kyle Ulmer. You have 2.5 minutes starting at half.
Howdy!
Howdy!
Two things real quick before I get started. I don't know if any speakers before me has mentioned this, but this morning at 2:42, or excuse me, tomorrow morning, 12 Aggies 11 years ago lost their lives on the polo field, not 3/4 of a mile away from here. And you don't have to go to bonfire, student bonfire, or care about the tradition coming back or have any opinion about it, but there is no excuse to miss the bonfire remembrance. So make sure at 2:42 you're out there, because we'd be there for you is pretty much the only reason that Aggie needs to be there. The second thing is we've got a lot of open forum people tonight, and I know that it's certainly not in the bylaws anywhere. But just as a respect to people who are speaking tonight, laptops. I know that we don't open them up for special presentations, but we have a lot of people who are really going to pour out their heart to you guys now on a wide variety of issues. So I know it's going to be a long open forum, but anyway, you can just see your heart to maybe push down laptops when they speak and maybe check chat or something like that in between. What I'm here to speak to you guys about tonight is something that I think a couple of people are going to speak to you about. The judicial court case from this Monday, Womack v. Bowen, in which the actual vacancy appointment process was argued about. Now, I want it to be clear. I'm pretty sure you guys have the backstory on it. Basically, the judicial court ruled that the vacancy process was not followed, that bylaws were violated in a number of ways, and the appointment process
1 minute.
wasn't done according to the bylaws. Let me be clear real quick. It is not my wish that those senators don't retain their seats. If it was up to me, I'd put every single person back in their seats. I think they all deserve their seats, and they shouldn't be punished for something that wasn't their fault. I can tell you right now, no matter what happens, I'm going to recuse myself and I'm not going to participate. I would not take a seat from any of the off-campus or any of the other caucuses. It's not right. They got their seat. They were senators, and nobody should take that away from them. That's my wish and that's my opinion. All I ask is you tonight to consider whose fault it is. The process that was run, how it was dealt with, and why it was dealt with in that manner. It wasn't the senator's fault. If you want to place blame on anyone besides Scott Bowen, it's my fault. But I ask you to look at the process, who ran the process, and understand that it wasn't done because of a lack of knowledge or a lack of ability. It was done because a lack of desire to follow the rules. A willful violation in numerous places in the bylaws. And it wasn't done so that, justice could be achieved, so justice could be subverted. And it was designed not necessarily to make sure that the bylaws and the rules were followed in accordance, but to make sure that bylaws were seen to a specific person's will. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, point of personal preference.
Say your point.
Did we all get a copy of the document that Mr. Womack referred to?
The judicial court case?
And any supporting documents, maybe any appeals or injunctions?
Yes. We will send that out.
Madam Speaker, I just want to point out really quickly, that can be found.
Wait, that's out of order. What point are you rising to?
Oh, point of information, if you could direct it back to me, or to David Gillespie. Where can those documents be found online at JCourt? That's the that you can.
I would refer that to the Chief Justice, David Blushing. Are they available on the website for everyone to see?
Yes.
It's on the website.
Thanks.
And if it's not available to people, please email me. I will sign it on BDO's Curious Computer, and we'll send that out if it's not available. Please let me know if that's not available. With that, we will continue. Drew Barber. You have 2.5 minutes starting at howdy.
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 All right, guys, I'm here tonight primarily to speak on my own behalf, just me independently, so I'll go ahead and throw that out there. And I'm speaking with the desire that the integrity of the Senate be upheld. That's my only wish here tonight. I'm going to be talking about the vacancy process. Frankly, guys, I don't care how it happens. I don't care what happened. The bottom line is, J-Court ruled. It didn't meet the standards that should have been met. Fair enough. We have to respect that. So with that in mind, like I said, I don't know what happened. I don't care how it happened, but I'm asking that the integrity of this body of Student Senate be upheld. That's the only thing I'm asking. Moving from that, kind of just on a side note, the 7 new senators were confirmed by almost unanimously here in Senate tonight, or here in Senate 2 weeks ago. So I ask you guys to keep that in mind. Confirmed almost unanimously. Took the oath, so we were senators. We are senators. What I bring into question, and maybe the inappropriate place, maybe the inappropriate time, but is the constitutionality for J-Court to remove seats. A senator can be removed one of four ways. That'd be impeachment, recall, resigning, or not meeting university standards. The 7 of us, we weren't guilty of any of those. So I ask you guys to, that's just more or less a point of information, but I ask you guys to keep that in mind as we go on here tonight with the meeting. And I ask you guys to uphold the integrity of the body as I mentioned earlier. Thanks.
With that, Ryan Davenport. You have 2.5 minutes starting at howdy.
A little further back than they usually am. Howdy!
Howdy.
All right, Senate. I just want to remind you of things. Tonight, you're all going to have to make some pretty important decisions. That ranges from the in-state tuition bill, election regulations, so on and so forth. One thing that I ask you all as we go through tonight is do what you think is right. Do not do what I think is right. Do not do what someone else told you is right. Do in your heart what you think is right. Whenever you speak to your constituents, they tell you how they feel. Take that into account, but make sure more than anything that you do what is right tonight. More than that, let's try to make sure that we leave emotion out of our decisions, and that whenever we make a decision to vote for something or not to vote for something, that we make sure that we're doing it logically and in a way that it upholds the integrity of this body. That's something that's been under attack for quite some time, and I hope that people can't say that about this meeting here tonight. So that's all I have for you. Thanks, and Gato. Let's have a good meeting.
With that, Jody Harris.
Basically, I was just going to
You
remind
too. 2.5 minutes starting at
Howdy. Basically, I was just going to remind everybody about the bonfire remembrance. I did that already. So anything else is just, I saw the crosswalks in front of Clayburg today. Like 2 seconds of debate on that. And so good things don't always have to be, long. You know what I'm saying? Good things don't always have to take a long time to get pushed in the center.
With that, Aaron Aldawi. You have 2.5 minutes starting at howdy.
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 I'm a recent transfer student from Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio, and a proud member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2012, and I stand here... Thank you. Now, 35 years ago, a 19-year-old immigrant from Lebanon arrived in New York with a mere $500 cash and a worn-out suitcase held together with a belt. Now, he arrived by legal means with a student visa, and he eventually settled in Ohio to attend college with a dual major in management and industrial engineering. But he enjoyed none of the social pleasures that his American peers did, for from the time he set foot on the soil of our beloved country, he was a working man. He worked 2 to 3 jobs at a time, all manual labor. Every back-breaking job he could get just to put himself through. He ran on very little sleep. Somehow he made it through. Now, that man was my father, Fadi Rafiq Al-Gawi, and he is a man of indescribable integrity. One of many who left their home countries escaping violence, oppression, and totalitarianism to seek a land of greatness. That is the American dream, and it is being eroded today by disregard for the law. Now, recently, student body president Jacob Robinson vetoed SB 6311, and when I heard he did that, I was disgusted. As the son of a legal immigrant and an out-of-state student paying roughly $40,000 a year to attend this great institution, I find it immeasurably insulting that illegal immigrants are offered in-state tuition when not only I am not, but my father was not at the universities he attended. And he would have had the integrity not to cheat the system had he have been. Now, the Aggie Code states that an Aggie does not lie, cheat, nor steal, nor tolerate those who do. Well, by not supporting SB 6311, you are tolerating those who cheat the system. Now, vetoing this bill was dishonorable to the United States' legal system and the millions of legal immigrants like my father who worked themselves to death to put themselves through school because they believed in achieving the American dream through integrity. Now, some little punks who broke the law are rewarded for it with a $15,000 subsidization of their tuition. That is unacceptable. Now, I say to you tonight, and I'm trying to stay calm, but when that second bill passes, if you have any integrity whatsoever, you will sign it with pride. Now, President Robinson says it's the state's business. Well, we need to let the state know that we mean business. So I say, send it to Austin, let Governor Perry and the Board of Regents know that what they are doing is atrocious. Thanks and gig 'em, and God bless America.
God bless America.
With that, Jake Torres. Jake Torres, you have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
Howdy, everybody.
Stay in order.
My name is Jake Torres. I am a senior at Southern Methodist University. I am a double major in English and Spanish. I have the privilege of serving as the student body president of SMU this year. I came to speak about my opposition to SB 6311, and I do have the same passion as the previous speaker, but I want to say that, in my opinion, the purpose of student government is to serve and represent our constituents. And I believe that those that are most in need of our representation and our voice are those that cannot provide that voice for them. I believe that this piece of legislation is divisive and is unfairly targeting individuals that are trying to better their lives, that are trying to contribute to the great state of Texas and to the United States as a whole. I believe that the language in SB 6311 needs to be written, specifically the 5th whereas clause, and I would like to point your attention to the investments in the education of these foreign nationals by Texas taxpayers are not repaid because they cannot hold jobs and contribute to the Texas economy. I believe that that particular paragraph is a terrible paragraph to put in this piece of legislation because it simply is defining our education as whether or not we can work. And if an individual leaves this great institution and wants to take a job in the state of California or the state of New York, does that say that that individual is not repaying the taxpayers of the state of Texas? I disagree. I think an education is more than being able to hold a job once you graduate. I believe an education is a right within this country, and I believe that by passing this piece of legislation, you're disenfranchising students that are trying to do right by our country. I spoke with some editors of the battalion because, like I said, I'm not a student at this university, and I wanted to get feedback, and I wanted to find out what the student opinion was at this university. And those editors told me that generally the student body is in favor of this piece of legislation. And, speaking with them, I understand that, and they have a better feel for this university than I do, the student opinion. But yesterday I was speaking with President George W. Bush before the groundbreaking of the Bush Center yesterday. He's an incredible individual, a man of integrity, and when I was speaking with him, we talked about leadership, and he told me that in my position that I should not do what is popular or what is easy, but I should instead do what is right and what is just, and I think that President Robinson did an incredible job, and I applaud him, and I applaud what he did. Based on the piece of legislation, I would have done the same thing if I had been in this whole position. Because I believe that as representatives in in student government, we need to provide a voice to those that cannot provide a voice to themselves, and I thank you. I thank you for your service. No matter how you vote, you have an incredible responsibility, and God bless you. God bless Texas A&M and Southern Methodist University. Thank you.
With that, Mark Dawson. You have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
Howdy. It's important to discuss the inherent racist implications of Senate Bill 6311. Not only was this bill created during the rise of racist nativist sentiment that enveloped this country earlier this year, its creation so close in proximity to Senate Bill 1070, the anti-immigration bill in Arizona, and its close relation to the downward spiral of the American economy, sheds light on the environmental climate that surrounded the creation of this bill. If this bill was not created in relation to these circumstances that I have just described, then could someone explain to me why this bill was not drafted 9 years ago in response to the Senate Bill 1528 that was passed that provided the undocumented students with in-state tuition? Another problem that arises from this bill are the implications that are inherent for the undocumented students that attend this campus. This bill will not effectively increase the amount of tuition that the university receives. What the bill will do is raise the cost of education at this institution to an exorbitant level that majority of undocumented students will not be able to absorb the cost hike. So what this bill will do effectively is target and eliminate a small minority of students that are here striving to get an education. I would like to remind this Senate that an aspect of our American history that is conveniently overlooked and forgotten. This land where the university sits, along with the rest of Texas, has not always been the United States. The nation itself is one comprised of immigrants. Whether your family came here on the Mayflower or on the enormous immigrations in the early 20th century, these groups came during periods of our history when no immigration laws were enforced. In addition, the small group of students that have been targeted in this legislation possibly have stronger ancestral ties to this land than those who claim their superiority as American citizens. Texas A&M has a long history of discrimination and exclusion. For example, women were not officially admitted until 1963. However, they were not allowed to participate in the Corps of Cadets until 1974 and were kept in separate units and effectively out of leadership positions until the late 80s. The composition of this Senate before me is evidence that something that was once law was changed because people had the vision to correct such injustices. Passing a bill such as SB 6311 would only contribute to our history of exclusion by creating a climate where people of color, specifically Latinos, may suffer the effect of racialization. This bill would be a step backwards for this great university. I urge the senators here today to vote for the future of inclusion for all who are proud to be Aggies and send a message to all who are watching that Texas A&M is a university which values advancement of society via its best and brightest who fill its classrooms.
With that, William Cobbs. You have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
Howdy. Howdy. Senators, I speak to you today again. SB 6311. My arguments are not moral or emotional arguments, but rather factually based and can be verified by anyone who cares to take the time to do the research. My arguments against SB 6311 are: 1, some of the statements that are in the bill itself are just outright lies. 2, by attacking SB 1528 as is stated in the enactment section of the bill, we are not only harming undocumented residents, but also fellow Aggies. In reality, you're attacking some of the very out-of-state students who the bill supposedly would better. 3, it is not the decision of TMAU senators as to whether or not Texas law is or is not in accordance with the National Code of Immigration. The forum is not the place to discuss such an issue. The statement, whereas 3, states that persons residing in the U.S. illegally currently receive in-state tuition at TAMU. This is a lie. Only those undocumented residents who have lived in Texas for at least 3 years prior to graduating high school and at least 1 year prior to enrolling in a higher education institution are eligible for in-state tuition. Not every undocumented resident is capable of receiving in-state tuition. In reality, it's a very small percentage of the population. Furthermore, the statement, whereas 5, which claims that we would we spend more on undocumented residents than we receive is also a lie. According to the state comptroller in 2006, the comptroller's office estimates that the absence of the estimated 1.4 million undocumented immigrants in Texas in fiscal 2005 would have been a loss to our gross state product of $17.7 billion. Also, the comptroller's office estimates that the state revenues collected from undocumented immigrants exceed what the state spent on services, with the difference being approximately $424.7 million. Obviously, this is directly contradictory to what has been stated in the bill. Secondly, not only undocumented residents will be affected by this bill. The students that are SB 1528 students are not only undocumented students. Some are legal residents. Some are even U.S. citizens. By systematically attacking SB 1528, you would hurt the very people you were trying to help. And this is most definitely not the Aggie way, nor does it make any sense. Thirdly, I would like to state that it is not the right of anyone in the room to pass judgment as to whether or not Texas SB 1528 is or is not in accordance with the National Code on Immigration, nor is this the proper forum to voice your political opinions on the subject of immigration. This is an institution of higher education, not the floor of the United States Senate. And I urge you to vote no to SB 6311. And furthermore, I take issue with...
Please finish your sentence.
Thanks again.
Jennifer Padilla. Jennifer, you have 2.5 minutes starting at county.
Howdy, my name is Jennifer Padilla, and I am a bilingual education major. So today I went and volunteered with a bilingual organization called Children Niños. And what they do is that they provide benefits for children under 18 months, as well as for their families. And the way that they do so for these families is that they give them the opportunity to become educated and give them the opportunity to collect a GED. So how is this relevant? Well, a lot of these families have children that are first-generation students. And a lot of them have been funded by the federal government to attend public school K through 12. So most of them have this hope to be more than what their families have given them the chance to do. A lot of them want to be doctors. A lot of them want to be educators. A lot of them want to be part of the military. So this bill, the SB 6311, isn't giving them that chance. It's going to impose on their hopes and their opportunities. And we're just sending them the wrong message. So why would we support them? Why would we advocate for them to stay in school? To look forward to more than just a high school degree? Thank you.
With that, Justin Pulliam, you have 2.5 minutes starting at county.
Howdy, Ags.
Howdy.
Thank you all for coming here. So I want to clear some things up. I'm going to talk about 2 issues, but I do want to talk about my bill first, since that's why y'all are here. It's not about who should be at school. As I've said, it's about automatic in-state tuition. So anyone can still come, and anyone can still receive in-state tuition by merit. All you have to do is get a $1,000 merit-based scholarship. To put that in perspective, 72% of out-of-state Americans receive in-state tuition because they have a merit-based scholarship. So all these stories about bright, young, valedictorian, et cetera, they still come to A&M, they still get in-state tuition. No big deal. Also, politics. There are a lot of politics in the Senate, which I'm about to address. But they're not conservative, Democrat, liberal, Republican politics. They're between people wanting to climb the ladder. But why we did this bill is really simple. I have a friend in this body who probably won't be able to come to school here after this next spring because it's just too dang expensive to come to school as an American out of state, especially once you're losing in-state tuition. And we got to researching this issue, and it just wasn't right that the state is rewarding breaking the law, the federal law, and also giving a benefit illegal aliens when that benefit's not given to all Americans. That's wrong. The other thing I want to talk to y'all about is the internal drama of the Senate, which really shouldn't be happening tonight, but Madam Speaker, how much time do I have?
1 minute.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyway, so what's about to happen is people are going to be impeached. There's probably going to be a motion to impeach some of the officers, wrongly so, because people want to bring politics into this body. They want to use political ploys, so in the future, I don't know, maybe they want to run for Speaker of the Senate. It'll make it easier for them. So I ask that everyone, Senator Davenport spoke about integrity. Let's work on our integrity, and let's try to have an organizational culture we can be proud of. Let's not take personal attacks on people, or make cheap political ploys just to advance your own self-interest. It's not right. It's also not right that 7 senators were wrongly kicked out of the Senate. The Constitution of the Student Government Association, or these Senate bylaws, have no procedure for doing so. The only ways to get kicked out of this body are 1 recall, where your constituents, 10% of them, sign a petition, by failing, by not showing up to stuff, so by grades, or by impeachment. Because you were confirmed by almost all the Senate body,
Please
and
finish
then
your
sworn in
sentence.
by the judicial court, and voted and served for 2 weeks, the judicial court can't kick you out. There's no procedure for that. So let's get these senators back in and not go down this dangerous road of kicking really any of us out, because that's what will happen. Kicking.
With that, Omar El Halwagi, you have 2.5 minutes right now.
Howdy. My name is Omar El Halwagi. I'm a senior business major, and I'm here to talk about SB 6311. But initially, I'd like to start off talking about an anecdote I just heard about a friend of a friend who has to pay out-of-state tuition. But luckily, I also recently found out that apparently 72% of individuals can get a merit-based scholarship, and that out-of-state tuition goes out the window. Essentially, what we just heard is that this bill, the premise of this bill, is for individuals who are paying out-of-state tuition to not feel like below an individual whose parents were undocumented immigrants. At what point did making someone else suffer due to someone else's financial burden become an Aggie value? Members of the Senate, I ask you to think about the repercussions of your action because you have a vote. You have 2 options. 1, you can pass a bill that does nothing other than send a negative message. Or 2, you can uphold the veto, ensuring that A&M doesn't receive a negative stigma, ensuring that individuals who pay income tax, and, not income tax, I apologize, property tax and sales tax, just like all of us do, get their in-state tuition, ensuring that diversity on this campus, diversity not just based on national origin or race, but diversity of mind, is continued to be upheld. Because I guarantee you, if we allow this bill to pass, we're not only going to lose individuals who may come from a Latino national origin, but we'll lose individuals who have a different mindset than that, which brings a whole nother perspective into the classroom. Senators, by making this decision, you're not just altering one piece of legislation, which will have absolutely no legal bearing.
1 minute.
You're altering how our student population is going to be formatted and how it's going to be run. Essentially, at the end of the day, you're asked to make a vote on what you believe to be ethical. Now, I can come up here and give you the same story about how my mother was an immigrant to this country in a headscarf, but that isn't relevant. Let's take out the emotion and rather deploy logic. See what's best for the student body, see what the constituents want, and see how this is going to impact our university as a whole. So I implore you today, when you're making your vote, think wisely about the future of Texas A&M University. Because you're here representing all of us. For the College of Business representatives, and for all of you, please again think what your vote is going to do and the impact and implications of it. Thanks, Indigo.
With that, Jay Stewart, you have 2.5 minutes starting at high.
Howdy, guys. Howdy. I'm going to keep this brief because it looks like we're going to be here a while. But my name's Jay Stewart. I'm an economics major, class of 2010, or 12. Just kidding. Normally I wouldn't be here speaking in front of you tonight, but after seeing our student body president, Jacob Robinson's veto, I felt a little betrayed. It seemed like a slap in the face for the majority of the students here at Texas A&M, since we're known for being a conservative university. Illegal immigration is a pretty hot debated topic. But to get to my point on SB 6311, the Student Senate, y'all passed this bill with an overwhelming majority, only to have it vetoed. I don't know about y'all, but I feel misrepresented by our student body president. The bottom line is that until laws are changed, illegal immigrants are not legal residents in Texas nor in the United States. If allowed to attend Texas A&M University, they should be charged the same tuition rate as foreign students who have legal visas to be here. Otherwise, Texas is diluting resources for legal residents. Simply stated, this bill will stop Texas A&M from rewarding people who knowingly violate federal law. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to get at is that the people that are targeted by this bill are knowingly violating federal law. They're illegal immigrants. Excuse me. I hope you will take into consideration the points I've made this evening when you vote, and I urge you to do the right thing and vote to pass SB 6311. Thanks and giggle.
With that, Tailandia Alfira, you have 2.5 minutes starting your count.
Howdy. Howdy. I'm a senior education major, and I wanted to say that this morning I received a Facebook message from Senator Pulliam asking for supporters of his bill to come out and to express their opinions. And he provided a list of suggested topics to address. I'm going to address he wrote, education is a public resource, and it doesn't make sense to use a scarce public resource to educate those who can't legally work after college. Now, education is an opportunity, not a reward. And as also stated in the message, the current law is rewarding people who break the law. But if it were a reward, then aren't all students being rewarded by good grades and good behavior? So shouldn't then all students be rewarded for that, and only those factors? Or do you suggest that because public education is a scarce resource, we should stop investing our time and resources on students who are obviously capable and willing? So if this is what SB 6311 is suggesting, then why stop there? I understand that not all of us are going to be Aggie teachers, but I do understand that all of you guys know that our motto is always expect more of Aggie teachers. So I'm sure that you guys would love it if your kids would be taught by Aggie teachers. So I challenge you to think about this, and you know, the Aggie teachers specifically. Tell your students, the ones that you're supposed to protect and teach, tell them, you know, little Johnny, even though you're really capable and you're smart, I'm not going to teach you because I don't want to invest my time in you. I'm going to go teach little Johnny number 2. So, I mean, isn't that essentially what this bill is saying? Why waste our time on students, whether they're at the college level or at the elementary level, who either way will not be able to work legally at the end of their education career? I mean, the least we can do is tell them at 4, you know what, stop learning, just go work for Meg Whitman. I believe I can assume that everyone in this room would agree that we should not tell our little 4-year-olds that we will not teach them
30 seconds.
Due to their parents' mistakes. These 4-year-olds have grown up, and they're the students that you are affecting now. So why is it not okay to crush their dreams at 4 years old, but it's okay now? Understand that this is an issue bigger than ourselves. And I leave you with a quote by Benjamin Franklin. He said, "For having lived long, I have experienced many instances of being obliged by better information or fuller consideration to change my opinion, even on important subjects which I once thought right but found to be otherwise. It's not too late to do what's right." Thanks.
Nicole Heath, you have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Nicole Heath. I'm a sophomore ag comm major from Coleman, Texas. But tonight I'm here to serve as the voice of an average Aggie and the average American citizen in response to SB 6311. Since the passing of this bill, I've heard direct things across campus
claiming that the majority was not represented and that the people were not heard. Perhaps it appears that there's lack of support for the bill because the loudest, but not necessarily the biggest group, is the one opposing it. I feel that many Aggies, myself included, have been reluctant to show support for the bill because we don't want to be labeled as racist. This is not what we are, and this is not what this bill is about. Some in opposition argue that illegals do pay taxes, so they are entitled to in-state tuition. Consider the following factors from 2005, and remember they are still increasing today. Taxpayers have incurred the cost of $4.7 billion per year to provide education, healthcare, and incarcerate some illegals. Immigrants are paying $1 billion in taxes per year, but this leaves a shortfall of $3.7 billion to be paid by legal Texans each year. And frankly, that just doesn't seem to balance. Also, some argue that Senate Bill 6311 will deny illegals in education. This simply is not true. This is what states like Louisiana and Georgia have in place, but not Texas. Our university knows that 304 students are undocumented, which under the law technically means they could be deported. But the university is not doing that. Illegal immigrants are allowed to attend Texas universities, just many citizens feel that it is fair that they pay out-of-state tuition, and this is what the bill addresses. Now, Mr. President, I understand that you feel it is the state legislature to address the problem of legal immigration, and I do agree with you. This is ultimately their decision. I'm not saying it's our job to change the law. We are not the governing body with the authority to do so. But it is our responsibility to send a message to what is right for America and her citizens. It's the opportunity of the legislature to learn how those in post-secondary education view this issue. I feel that as Aggies, we are seen as leaders, and we have the opportunity to positively affect change for the betterment of America. We can be the example for others to follow.
30 seconds.
And as Ronald Reagan once said, if not us, who? If not now, when? Protesters have continuously used cliches such as, we are the Aggies are we, to view their support. But what about the most important one? An Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal. So I ask, why lie about being in the U.S. or legally? Why cheat the system? And why take money that could go to legal citizens, no matter their background, who also wish to attend this university that stands to uphold such an honor code? We are a family that embraces diversity without compromising our values. Thank you.
With that, Justice was Iran. Sorry, I can't really read the name. You have 2.5 minutes starting at half.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Justice. I am a first generation legal immigrant from Chad, South Africa. And I came to Iowa first, and then I moved to Colorado before I came here. I applied here to get residency. I was denied. So I have to pay out-of-state tuition as someone who I am a U.S. citizen. But yet I have to pay out-of-state tuition. So how do? I borrow money from the loan agencies or loan companies in order to pay for my school. And how do I pay? I pay as an out-of-state student. So when I heard first from Perry, I think, that illegals can pay in state tuition, I'm like, what is my crime? What did I do to pay out-of-state tuition? Yet those who come here illegally have to pay in state tuition. So means that I'm supposed to come here in Texas by illegal means instead of going through the hassles of the immigration and all other hassles, that papers that I have to fill out before I can get here. So what did I do? I sent an email to Perry. I don't think I can get it. But this is what I said. I am from a family of 9 kids. At this time, there are some who are not on this earth, but some are still there. I have at least 7 who are there. What do I do? What will I do with them? I will bring them here illegally so that they can take advantage of the system. It's simple. Yes. So it's just easy for me instead of waiting for years before I can get an authorization from the immigration office in order to make my brothers. And I will tell you this. I tried to make my older brother come here. He went to the U.S. Embassy twice. they refuse him visa. And sometimes later he died. He will never be here anymore. But I think I am smart enough from this on to help my brothers and sisters get here illegally. And if anybody comes here and tells you about race, about any group, that's already a losing argument. It's an intimidation. I'm black. So what about race? So let me tell you this. Stick to what is right to do and don't let yourself be distracted by race or ethnic group or whatever. I am even, as a black, I again belong to another ethnic group. So if people come here and tell you about ethnicity, about whatever, don't be distracted. I have many friends, international students who are here legally who cannot pay the tuition. Why not offer them the opportunity to pay in state tuition? Thank you.
With that, Carl Renko, you have 2.5 minutes starting at
Howdy, I'm Carl Runko, junior aerospace engineering major. I didn't really plan a speech here, but here I got enough material just watching. Wow, if I had a nickel for all of these strongman fallacies thrown out tonight, I'd be a rich man. This issue, this bill, SB whatever, is not about costs and benefits. It's not about, oh, we don't like them, so we're throwing them out. Strawman fallacies. This bill is about what is right and like the law. I could offer a similar story as the other guy that was incredibly passionate. That my father, first generation American, he came to this country legally. And you ask him why he doesn't know Italian right now, that's because my grandparents were so afraid that he'd be segregated that they did not teach him Italian. And so, what does this do? This is positive reinforcement for people coming here illegally. This is not trying to keep them out. It's trying to make them go through the proper facets, the correct law to get into this country. Like, it feels now, it's almost better to be an illegal citizen so you don't have to put up with the crap. Like, what do I have to go through now when, like, to vote? They don't even ask. You don't have to prove citizenship. It bothers me. Not a lot of things. Oh yes, hospitals. That's another drain.
1 minute.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted. This is ridiculous. It's about law, it's about what's right. You cannot do this just because you have some emotional connection to the issue. You have to think about the immigration laws. They're there for a reason. They're there because this country is founded on immigration. And if we just let that run rampant, then there's no check. There's no balance on who becomes naturalized. You can't just let everyone in because then it's not America. It's just... It's not American.
With that, Jesus Morris, you have 2.5 minutes starting at Hobby.
Howdy, my name is Jesus Mares. I'm a senior in the College of Agriculture. I'm happy to join you today, and we'll go down in history as the largest student senate demonstration in the history of this university. 205 years ago, a great American advocated equality under the law. He was a beacon of light and hope for millions of minority people who had been sheared by the flames of intolerance. But 45 years later, we are still not equal. 45 years later, the life of minority is sadly crippled by governmental and educational institutions. 45 years later, minority lives in a sad, lonely island of poverty in a vast ocean of material prosperity. So we have come here today to dramatize this appalling condition. I believe that all men are created equal. It is obvious today, here, while your senators chat on Facebook, that they have failed us. These senators have failed in their sacred duty of practicing democracy to improve the conditions of students at this school. I am mindful that we have come from different places, but please, senators, be mindful as well and vote against SB 6311 and any other bill that reverses how far we have come. I have a dream.
With that, Claudia Gonzalez. You have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Claudia Gonzalez, and I'm a junior sociology major. Well, I'm really happy to be here because I've never been in a place like this. I don't know anything about the Senate. But I understand that this bill is not kicking anybody out of school, and everybody can come in. Undocumented students can still be here and pay out-of-state tuition, but the problem is that a lot of these undocumented students have been here since they were probably 1 month born. And it was not their choice, it was their parents' choice. And their parents had a reason for that, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of them are from Mexico or a Latin country, and the conditions there are, I don't even want to go there. But it's not their choice. It was not their choice. And they've been here, they've been in school, and now they're in college. And now that they're getting a grant or a scholarship, and they're almost there, you want to tell them no. Because of something that their parents had to, probably out of desperation or whatever, I'm not sure, had to choose whether stay in their country or come here and look for another better future for them. So think about all those athletes that are in here right now that have been from kindergarten to high school, that have been in their top 10% of their class, most probably. And they're almost there, and they're just saying, no, we don't want you. Just think about that. And I just then, I can't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry. But a lot of the things that you said, they're not right. You should make more research on that. And you should be more considerate and sensitive over your fellow Aggies that are, like I said, they're almost here, almost there, and you're just saying no. I really hope that your children, and I'm really, really, very glad that you're not in that position, because it's not a happy position to be in, and it's not something that I'm sure they are proud to be in. So that's all I have to say, and I hope that you just keep that in mind. Thank you.
With that, Michael Law. You have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
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 I'm Michael Lau. I'm a junior, and I'm a computer science major. I was born in Texas, and I'm a legal taxpayer. And but I didn't really prepare for the speech. I just wanted to come, I guess, voice my opinion and kind of feel or express how I feel about some arguments that are being made today. First of all, their argument of this is a racist bill is really not. No one's ever said anything about race or anything like that, so it's just a matter of we're doing what's right. People are breaking the law. I mean, if there was a single file line and someone cut in line, and then someone called them out and said, no, you need to go to the end of the line, would the argument be, well, you're not being fair to me, and I should be able to break the law or whatever? It's not. There's not any fairness to it. And basically, as Aggies, with this bill, we're not really saying you can't come to school here anymore. It's just a matter of you need to pay out-of-state tuition. It's not fair to people who live out of state or come here legally by means of law. It's not fair to them. So, I mean, and then there's also other arguments of, well, I knew a guy who knew a guy who paid out-of-state tuition. Well, I know a guy who paid out-of-state tuition. And like one guy mentioned before also that, you know, with illegals, they're basically lying to the government in order to cheat the system. And an Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal. So, I mean, to be viewed as an Aggie, you know, they would be dishonorable. But by also opposing this bill and vetoing the bill, then you are also considered dishonorable
30 seconds.
by tolerating their efforts. And that's it. Like I said, in very thanks and gifts.
Parker Thompson. You have 2.5 minutes starting in howdy.
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 Came here to talk about it. I was kind of just sitting there and reading over Facebook as many people do, and came up with the fact that this bill had been passed by Student Senate. I was very happy. And all of a sudden came on that the bill was being taken away and being vetoed, and there was a veto. So I mean, I came up with many things that I felt were right about the bill. One of the things that many people say is discrimination. And they talk about how the bill is discriminatory against other people. Well, we talk about discrimination, and the fact is that if we allow the bill to be vetoed, then we're discriminating against fellow countrymen. I don't know which is worse. We've discriminated against criminals or discriminated against fellow countrymen. Simple fact is that letting this bill stand is not racist, it's not discriminatory, it does none of those things. It's the fact that you're trying to uphold the law, the fact that many people out of state, they have to pay out of state tuition, whereas illegal immigrants are allowed to pay in-state tuition. And you talk about the fact of, well, if you allow it to pass, then it's going to be hurting illegal immigrants. Well, if we don't allow it to pass, then it's going to be sitting there hurting out fellow countrymen who have to pay out-of-state tuition. They may be coming from a lower-class family, and they're struggling to pay for it. So I don't see where the fact is that those people should then, according to that argument, should get the same thing. So I don't see where that whole stance comes from. I mean, you can't just expect Americans to start going away and getting things freely. I mean, there's nothing more wrong than trying to tell a certain family they are being discriminated against because they don't have the means, they don't have the funds, they don't have anything to send their kid to Texas A&M if he desires to, yet he's lived out of state so he doesn't get to pay in-state tuition. You're allowing someone who doesn't come from the country, who came here illegally, whether parents came or not, hasn't yet applied for citizenship, want to make the efforts to do that and then get in-state tuition. If you allow this veto to stand, then you are allowing someone who wishes, maybe desires, to come to this college to not come because his family doesn't have the means to pay for it. I'm fortunate enough that I have been
20 seconds.
I'm fortunate enough that I have been given the ability by my parents to stand here and speak to you in front of you, and I think that you'll need to change the veto, do whatever you want, so that this bill does not stand. So this bill does pass, that those who wish to come here, we do not discriminate against everybody. Where do we stop? Do we get it to everybody? No. If you get to illegal immigrants, you have to get to everybody. Under federal law, it states that any right afforded to illegal immigrants, must be afforded to Americans. So in that fact, we have to give it to everybody.
Jose Rojas. You have 2.5 minutes starting in
Howdy. My name is Jose Rojas. I'm an international student. I'm from Chile. I think this bill is wrong because here in the United States, I've learned that if you go around killing people and you're with your kid is not responsible for your killings. Therefore, you're accusing of illegal students here, saying that they are criminals and whatnot. It's incorrect because it was their parents who committed the crime. I also would like to hear your story, and this goes about the long-term effect of this bill. I came to the United States, I came to A&M and I found a very lovely girl, which I married. I feel like if you really care about the state of Texas, like I do, I've made it my home. You will allow illegal immigrants to come to school with in-state tuition. This allows more immigrants to come and get educated, and you want this because eventually they will get married just like I did. Eventually, they will be part of the society, and we need educated people. We don't need people who are going to later be a burden to the government. They're going to be productive people, and they're not going to be people who are going to be needing welfare, who can't work, who can't find a job, because they will be educated, and this is limiting their ability to get educated. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Miguel.
Eric Robinson, you have 2.5 minutes during your time.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Eric Robinson. I'm a proud member of Phi Texas AU class of 2002. As I think the only person in the room who was at the polo field tonight, bonfire fell, who sat there and watched people pull logs off the pile. I encourage you, when you go tonight to the memorial, you go look at the names of the people who died. When you think about my friends that were trapped underneath, that you check their immigration status, and that you'd say, you know what? Even though you died, you're a dishonorable act. You're not a real act, okay, because of your immigration status. I'm not saying any people that died were undocumented. I'm saying I had friends that were out there and were hurt. And so to stand here and to say that you're honorable or dishonorable, you need to do that every time you do something at A&M. You need to go ahead and look and try to figure out who's undocumented, who's not documented. As you go out there tonight, I was there 11 years ago, watching people die on Baja. The other fallacy I'd like to point out that a lot of people have made in here is that, oh wow, I'm the persecuted one, I'm a legal resident, all these illegals are getting stuff for free. I don't really hear you complaining. When you go to a restaurant, your food's cheaper. When your house gets built and it's cheaper, I just bought one, they're really expensive, but they're a whole lot cheaper because undocumented workers do it. So if you want to start complaining about people getting benefits, then you need to start paying extra. Let's go ahead and add a tax on the top. I know we're at George Bush University, we don't like taxes, okay? But go ahead and pay that voluntarily, okay? Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 25%. But on everything that has to do with work that's done by undocumented people here in the U.S., go ahead and put your money where your mouth is and start paying more. Then okay, let's get rid of them, okay? But until we're ready to start paying more, let's stop saying we're not getting benefits from them. We're getting tons of benefits, okay? And you're not a persecuted group. These students who are trying to get in-state tuition are trying to keep that. They don't have a future after they graduate, okay? They're going to live in the shadows. They're not, for you to come and to say, it'd be better for me to be illegal is wrong. And then finally, talking about whether this is racism or not, or different things, and people coming up here and saying this.
Please finish your sentence.
Sure. Just because you're from Africa or from other different places, racism comes all across the spectrum. And so that's the kind of an ideological argument. Thanks again.
We have a long meeting still, so let's try to keep the pause to a minimum from here on out, just so we can get through the agenda. With that, Alexandra Galinda. You have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
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 I'm an international student from Guatemala, and I'm damn proud of being international, and I'm damn proud of being Yagi. So I want to talk to you all tonight about the SB 63, and I think we should veto it because this is not a choice that the students have. This is not a choice that they made when they were a baby. They didn't voice their opinion when they were 3 months old and tell them parents, no, I don't want to go, I want to stay in Mexico or Africa or wherever they came from, because that's wrong. No, it was their parents' choice. So this shouldn't be on them. This bill shouldn't be their fault. It should be their parents for bringing them here illegally. So we shouldn't punish them because they are trying to better themselves. It's not like they're trying to go and sell drugs and make this country a worse place. They're trying to better themselves. They're trying to get jobs. And just as Jose said, they're trying to get married and they're trying to pay their taxes and just trying to better Texas. And we will all benefit from that. Thanks again.
Here you go.
With that, we will now move into organizational form. First to speak, Traditions Council.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I'm Rachel Thornburg, a junior agricultural science major from Blue Springs, Missouri. But more importantly, I'm a loud and proud member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2012. Hey! And I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about Bonfire and the Bonfire Memorial. Now, way back in the old Army days, 1907 to be exact, the bonfire started. A bunch of old Ags knew that the football team was coming back from a huge one on the road, so they ran to the train station and they grabbed up all the trash they could find, put it into a pile 10 to 12 feet tall, lit it on fire, and that's your first bonfire that we ever had. 2 years later, it was moved onto campus, which is where it remained until, well, we're going to talk about it in a little bit. So bonfire continued to grow and grow and grow until 1969, when bonfire grew to its tallest height at 109 feet. Now, to put that into a little bit of perspective, do y'all know how tall Rudder Tower is?
100%.
Yeah, that's how tall the bonfire was. After that, the city of Bryan and College Station put in some regulations to make sure, like, the bonfire wasn't going to be that tall. Whatever. So the bonfire wouldn't be that tall. Different people wouldn't get hurt. But 1 year, Bryan did donate the center pole, so have to give them that. Now, going back to 1969, that's when women were first admitted into the university. So I'm a big fan of thinking that the bonfire was its tallest because the women built it. But a lot of people think that the boys built it that tall to impress the new women. Whatever you believe, that's the tallest year it was. So fast forward, there are 2 times that bonfire did not burn. Once was in 1963 after our president, JFK, was assassinated. And it was a really troubling time for A&M and for the country. And the senior class delegated over what they were going to do, and they decided not to burn bonfire that year because it was the most they could do but the least they could give. So that was the first year bonfire did not burn. The second year was in 1999 on November 18th at 2:42 a.m. As y'all may be aware, that's coming up tomorrow, and I'm going to touch a little bit on that in a little bit. But we lost 12 Aggies and 27 were injured. I'm sure all of you have heard the story. It's really sad to think that we had that happen at this university. But going back, in 1994, the bonfire actually tilted over. Fun fact, it took them a week to rebuild the entire bonfire. So bonfire did burn, but due to the rain on the drill field, it tilted over. So 5 years after bonfire collapsed in 99, they decided they were going to build a memorial. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the memorial. I hope you have all been there. It's a great place just to think about things and to realize how much this university means to each and every one of us. And I go there before every Senate meeting, and this isn't what I usually say in my speaking engagements, but I read the bills there, and it brings clarity to what we're doing. And it shows how much we mean to this university and how much this university means to us. So they built the bonfire memorial, and there's 3 parts to it. There's Traditions Plaza, History Walk, and Spirit Ring. And Traditions Plaza is where you enter. And on this beautiful slate wall, they have the last courtship engraved. And you can walk behind, you can read it, and if you haven't read that, I highly suggest that you do. It's amazing, just like the rest of the memorial. So you walk past that, and you enter History Walk, which has it has 89 lights representing the 89 years that Bonfire burned before it fell in 99. There's a light for every year except for 1963, when, like I said, it did not burn. And so you walk down there and you enter the ring. The ring is dedicated to the bonfire of 1999, the 12 that we lost and the 27 that were injured, along with everyone who helped and everyone that was here and every Aggie for that matter. So when you enter the ring, it is a ring. There's 12 portals representing the 12 Aggies, and each portal faces their hometown. And it has a picture of the Aggie, it has quotes, it has stories, it tells you their life, it has their signature. And it said that if you step into that portal, that you're stepping into the Aggie's life. And I hope every single one of you have stepped into every single 12 of those portals, because that's your duty as an Aggie. See, they gave their lives for this university, and not many people can say that. So like I said, when you step into that portal, you step into their lives as they left it, and a lot of them were freshmen, and there was a guy who didn't even go to school here anymore. And so that's that, and then connecting the 12 portals are 27 stones representing the 27 Aggies who were hurt in the accident. And you can walk around the ring, it's all lit, it's beautiful, it's serene, you don't have any noise from the traffic or from the university. It's out on the polo fields past the engineering area. And I guess if I can ask nothing more of you guys, it's just to go to the Bonfire Memorial once. And if you haven't gone, please go, and if you have, go again. Like, Bonfire didn't set the tradition, but Bonfire continues to live in our hearts and in the spirit of this university, and just to see how much it meant to not only these people, but everyone who showed up. That night, that bonfire fell, there was a candlelight vigil, 90,000 people showed up. 90,000 people. We didn't have that many students going here, and we still don't. And to think that 90,000 people showed up and dropped everything they could do to come and help out the Aggies and show them how much it meant to them, like how much Bonfire meant, how much this university meant, it's just astounding. And throughout the next following days, just the cards and the letters from the different universities and just people sending everything they could think of to help us out in that horrible time. It's astounding. And they had a lot of things go on during those days. Like they had to pick up buses to send people to funerals, and they had to find a plane to fly to California for one of the individuals who passed away to send Aggies. And when they got there, the plane broke down, so they couldn't fly back. And the thing with that is, they didn't know what to do. These people didn't take extra clothes, they didn't take extra money, but Aggies in California decided that it was the right thing to do to buy these hotel rooms, and I think it's 56 hotel rooms for these kids, and to send them clothes, and to buy them toothbrushes and every single necessity they needed so they could find a plane for free to fly these students back to A&M. That's a little more information about Bonfire. I could go on for hours about every single tradition we have at this university, and I hope and I pray that every single one of you can too, and I know all of you can, and it breaks my heart. A lot has happened since '99. We've grown tremendously, but we have to remember that a student is still a student, and it's a life, and that life means more to anyone in the world, especially at Texas A&M, because we uphold everything that our students do so highly, and we respect it so graciously. And just, I guess what I should say, Bonfire Memorial Remembrance is this evening at 2:42. If all of you stay till we end the meeting, it's only an extra hour and a half.
We only have extension till 11:30.
Yeah, so please show up to the memorial. Bring a candle if you want. Bring yourself in a warm jacket because it's going to be really cold, but there's still families that show up at these memorial services, and it'd be really great if you guys showed up to show them how much the memory of these 12 and the 27 who were injured still means to us as Aggies. And that's a little bit about Bonfire and the memorial. If anyone has any questions, I sit in the front, or I can take questions. So thanks for being out.
With that, Crystal Usher, Student Advocate for Academic Affairs.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Just got a few updates from Academic Affairs. There will be, hopefully, 2 pieces of emergency legislation coming up. One of them is on the agenda currently, the other hopefully will be brought up in open session. The first one is about the Student Recognition Award for Teaching Excellence. Nomination process, we're in our final steps of getting this done. However, this issue was brought to me on Friday of last week, and so I struggled to get it in on the deadline, so it's emergency legislation for you guys to look over, but hopefully I'll pass it. And then the other one is about the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I have been told by the Provost Office, as well as the email update from Dr. Lofton, that the Wednesday before Thanksgiving classes will not be canceled at noon, and so that bill is asking for that. And so it's also denoted as emergency legislation, considering that happens next week. The other 2 things I've got for you are, again, Academic Affairs office hours are every Sunday. The only exception will be Sunday, November 28th, which is the weekend of Thanksgiving break. I'll be chilling, so I will be there. And then Camise attendance policy, just to let y'all know, that has official expiration. It is currently in line with the university policy for absences. The policy can be found online on the Camise Department's website, and it should have been reflected in your syllabi that you were giving at the beginning of the semester. Other than that, thanks and gig 'em.
With that, Jose Luis for the Council of Minority Student Affairs. You have 5 minutes starting at 9.
Howdy.
Howdy.
That is the silence that I want to speak for today. For those that voice are either not heard enough, or for those that words are not taken into account. The Council for Minority Student Affairs wants to once again express our opposition to Senate Bill 6311. CMSA believes that the Student Senate meeting room is an inappropriate place for an attempt to settle a state issue, especially one that has already been addressed by the passing of Senate Bill 1528. Given the fact that undocumented students make up less than 1% of our state students' population and 0.4% of our population at Texas A&M, the state's revenue does not suffer from offering the opportunity to state to Texas. The state does not suffer from offering this opportunity to Texas educated students. This is clearly not a zero-sum game. Both the state and the undocumented students' population lose if the in-state tuition law is repealed. Most of the students will be forced to drop out of school if forced to pay the prohibitive out-of-state tuition fees. The state will lose its investment in youth. The cycle of poverty will continue unbroken, and the underground economy will remain unintegrated. The reality is that this bill has nothing to do with fairness. For anyone in those, it would appear that this measure has nothing to do with economics, nor education, nor in-state tuition, but only politics. Given the anti-immigrant atmosphere that has emerged with the Arizona bill, Senate Bill 1070. Senate Bill 6311 does not provide a solution for the problem. Our time and efforts should be better served if we Senate Bill 6311 does not provide a solution for the problem. Instead, as Aggies, our time and efforts would be better served if we as students, we come together to find a reasonable solution for undocumented Aggies. Also, just to clarify some things that the Senate Bill 6311 says that is unconstitutional, the Supreme Court in California, with a similar bill to Senate Bill 1528, found that giving in-state tuition to undocumented students who have not come here, who have resided in that state for at least 3 years, have paid their taxes, and graduated from a California high school, which is a similar law to Senate Bill 1528. It is constitutional and it follows the U.S. Code. CMSA is committed towards working for increased access to higher education for all Americans, the documented and undocumented. We thank the student body president Jacob Robinson for taking the time and to do the research, to research the subject and vetoing a bill which we believe is not a representation of our Aggie family. We have heard one of our core values at Texas A&M, that Aggies don't lie, cheat, or steal. Let's think of it this way. Aggies don't lie by promising equal opportunity to education. I think that we are the friendliest university in the nation, but yet we are creating bills that are rejecting a group of people. Aggies don't cheat whenever we were promised a student survey to ask the opinion of the students, and it was not done. And Aggies do not steal the dreams, the opportunities, and the right that was given through the Senate by fellow Aggie Rick Perry through Senate Bill 1528 to pay in-state tuition. Thanks and give.
With that, our Chana Guari for SGA Diversity. You have 5 minutes starting at Howdy.
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 First, I'll request you all to listen to me or hear me today, not as an SGA Diversity Commissioner, but I want you all to listen to me as an international agriculture graduate student. Do not expect a twist. Wait, I'm still supporting the opposition of the bill.
State your point.
Madam Speaker, is it in order for someone to speak in the organizational presentation but not speak on behalf of that said organization?
No, it's not. I'm sorry. You'll have to speak within 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes?
2.5
Okay,
minutes.
that's fine. So let's start now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, howdy. So I'm speaking as an international student here. And now, if I think about my immigration, it will probably take me like 10 years to do that. Probably less. Hopefully less. But again, this is my choice to come to United States. So I have to do whatever I have to get my immigration through, right? I have to prove to United States that I'm worthy to get that immigration, right? So this is my choice. This is not my parents' choice. My parents didn't bring me here. And this is the difference between you as an international, that is me as an international, and them. They're brought here by their parents. It's not their choice. So by restricting them and pushing them back, we're not helping them. That's one. Now, second point I want to state is, I want to give you some examples in the past. As an agriculture student, I'll stick to agriculture examples. So in 1944, a Good Neighbor initiative started, and the U.S. leaders decided that they want to put a lot of money in agriculture in Mexico, and they wanted to establish agriculture universities in Mexico because Mexico could not afford agriculture education and all those world-class universities. But the U.S. leaders decided that this was the only way to save that country of poverty or of hunger, because by educating them, right? Okay, they also did this in 1960 during the famines in India, okay? And in India, 23 universities, 23 agriculture universities were established for the first time. And the first batch of graduates, they worked in India for big demonstrations, and they saved India of a big famine. I mean, if that famine would have existed still, then India would have been wiped out from the whole map. That was the prediction then. So understand that one more thing I want to add here is that the leader of this whole scientific mission was Dr. Norman Borlaug, and he was an Iowan, but he was a faculty at my department, and I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that. And if any of you don't know that, he was a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So understand, for a very important cause like education, a lot of taxpayer money was given in charity to all these universities to educate all these n number of students. More than 300 universities were set up all across the globe. India, China, South Asia, Mexico, and a lot of South American countries. So can we not accommodate 300 students here? How difficult is it? Can we not make an exemplary situation situation here by supporting our Aggies, by supporting here, and that's why I'm in favor of this bill. Because, not the bill, but that's why I'm in favor of this opposition. And what I'm trying to say here is that please add a human value to this bill when you introduce it. Again, if you wanted to. Thank you very much.
David Rosales, you have 2.5 minutes starting at Howdy.
Howdy, my name is David Rosales. 16 years ago, at the age of 2, I was taken away from my biological parents in the state of Florida and was placed with my maternal aunt who married an illegal immigrant in the state of Texas. He is now a full legalized citizen for the United States of America. I have come before you today to tell you the life of my father. My father's parents were both illegal immigrants. But that is besides the point. My dad grew up life not knowing how to read and write in English. He did not go surpass the 6th grade, for he did not see a future for the time being as an illegal immigrant. He did everything in his power to live a better life, and to make a better life for my grandparents. He left to the fields and worked long hours to bring at least food to the table. The food that they ate consisted of refried beans and flour tortillas. They did not have air conditioning, unlike the privilege that many Americans have today. They washed clothes by hand when washers and dryers existed. They wore garments that were hand-me-downs, and their mall was the flea market. What makes me stand here for him today is that he made me more than what I am today. He pushed me to get good grades, and because of him, I did not give up because I had an opportunity to live a dream that he was being denied. Look at where I'm at today, an Aggie, here at Texas A&M University. So I ask you, the Student Senate, to do what you feel is right and uphold the veto for Senate Bill 6311, and make that of many dreams come true. Thank you.
With that, Colin Layton, the Memorial Student Council, or Memorial Student Center President. You have 5 minutes starting at Howdy.
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 I'm here to provide you an update. Oh wait, this is your... Yes. An update on the MSC renovation and where we are today and some of the design renderings that we've been sharing with a lot of the different students, Aggie moms, A&M clubs, and different former students on the state. Just a quick history of why we're doing the building. The building opened on muster of 1951 with 7,000 students here on campus. We're now approaching 50,000 students, so you can see that MSC was definitely in need of a renovation. Students voted in favor in 2007 to increase their fee from $40 to $100. That $60 increase is going to pay directly for the renovation over the next 30 years. These are the different, go back to that slide. These are the different imperatives that we have during the renovation to fix the building, to fix the mechanical, electrical, and all the different issues that need to be fixed. To make it more open and welcoming, to allow more natural light, and to make it a space that is the great student center and a great memorial. To enhance the traditions, history, and memorial aspects. The MSC is a memorial dedicating, paying tribute to those Aggies that have lost their lives in World War I, World War II, and has now opened up to honor all those Aggies and military conflicts that have passed away since then. To make it a campus gathering place for Aggies. It's a place where all students, whether you're an engineering or a business major, can come together and experience the Aggie spirit, Aggie life, and Aggie traditions. We're also trying to increase the student organization meeting space by 30% to make sure we have places for our student organizations and different activities and events to happen on campus. And then lastly, a gateway to campus. When we bring prospective students here, it's an opportunity to share a little bit about A&M and really make sure that they know what they're coming to and what the opportunities we have here at Texas A&M. The timeline for completion I'll share about in a little bit, but the important thing is it is a 3-year project so that no Aggie will go without experiencing the MSC during their time here. The class of 2012 was the last one to experience the building. The class of 2013 will be the first one back into the building. Student participation. Students have been taking a very active role from approaching the administration to talk about renovating the MSC and being part of an active campaign to increase their fee and then passing that fee. During the time, we've had to suspend some of the traditions from not walking on the grass and taking off your hat. We had a small ceremony right before we closed the building in which we took out a section of that grass to move it to the bonfire memorial in order to convert the MSC from a construction or memorial state to a construction state. We will take that plot back to the MSC when we reopen in the spring of 2013. Opportunities for input. Several students and actually many students have had the opportunity to talk about the designs, the furnishing, a lot of different things they want to see in the building, and we've been able to include many students on the different committees as well. And then just the excitement for the finished project. Students have been able to talk about just what they're wanting to see when the building reopens. We are already beginning to start putting some ideas together for reopening the MSC for the grand reopening in the fall of 2004. Next. Here's a few renderings of what the building will look like. You can see the differences in the entrances. The old entrance was the MSC breezeway. It was dark, it was muggy. It really didn't allow a whole lot of space for people to go into the building. This new image right here shows you the 12th-man hall. It's a new construction piece that we're adding. It's branded with the seal of Texas A&M. We call it the 12th-man hall because there's 12 limestone pillars that line that hallway, which really echo the 12th man that we have here at Texas A&M. It'll be an open space that allows a lot more natural light. It also has that connecting breezeway that will go from the MSC second floor to Rudder Tower. But you can see there are some main differences, but it does kind of parallel the old architecture and construction design of the old MSC. This gives you a glimpse inside. You can see that it is an opened up space that opens all the way up from the garden level to the second floor, allowing you to kind of find where your friends are at when you walk into the building. It's supposed to be a really active space, a place that really kind of opens up and allows that natural light all the way into the building, so we're saving energy and saving costs as well. And further down the hallway, you can see the branding image that we have. Can you go back to that slide? That shows you the old historic MSC. With the MSC renovation, we don't want to change the way the MSC was. We kind of want to merge the old MSC with enhanced designs and enhanced concepts. Go to the next slide. This shows you the ballroom. It's on the far end. 16,000 square foot ballroom allows 1,000 different people on round tables. Can be split up into smaller rooms as well. The largest ballroom in the Brazos Valley, a great deal for crowd field for some pregame activities. Next slide. This is the historical aspects. This is the Hall of Honor. It's probably one of the most important parts of the building. It has the original plaque with all the Aggies with their names that have passed away in World War I and World War II, and then also new concepts that will light up with LED lights that show you the names of all those Aggies who have passed away since then. There will be an updated piece to make sure we recognize all those Aggies that have given that selfless sacrifice. We also have the 7 Congressional Medal of Honor recipient pieces that will recognize those Congressional Medal of Honor recipients who have been dedicated to MSC. There will be life-size pieces which will be more enhanced than the frames that are currently in the Rudder exhibit hall right now. Next slide. This is a night view. I'm going to skip that one. Go ahead. Construction of where we are today. We are on time. We are on budget. I'll let you go on there. If you go to our MSC website, tamu.edu, it gives you monthly updates with photos. Next slide. And then the budget of the project, it is a $125 million project, $82 million paid through student fees over the next 30 years, $18 million from the university, $5 million from dining, and they're running a $20 million fundraising campaign with the Texas A&M Foundation that I share with you right there. So that is a quick run through. There's always a lot more to that. There will be different times to showcase different things throughout the year. Again, go to this website and make sure you really carry on the tradition. We're looking to the class of 2013, 14, and 15, and 16 to help us carry on the tradition. We had a great opportunity to go to every fish camp to talk about the MSC, but it's those classes that help to keep carry on the traditions of the MSC, carry on the respect that the MSC deserves, and carry on as a memorial and student center of Texas A&M. With that, I'd be happy to open up questions.
That's out of order at this time. At this time, we would. Sorry. That's right. Big With that, we will now move into special presentations. State your point.
Madam Speaker, I move to set aside the agenda orders of the day to consider the question of the WOMAC versus Bowen response files update.
Do you mean to suspend the rules to consider that bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you shall be considered as emergency legislation?
Point of information.
State your point.
Is this motion debatable?
Yes.
Point of information, what are we talking about?
Okay, that's why I was bringing it up. At any point during an order of business, any particular item of business can be taken out of its proper order by adopting a motion to suspend the rules by a two-thirds vote. Although this is usually arranged by unanimous consent, and yes, it seems to be debatable. So with that, is there, state your point.
Don't we have to suspend the bylaws and then vote down if it's
There's two different ways. You can either you can either move to set aside the orders of the day, and that would be a 2/3 vote, which means we can no longer be set by this agenda, or at any point you can move to suspend the rules to consider anything. And that requires a 2/3 vote with debate.
To suspend the rules.
To suspend the rules to consider that. It wouldn't suspend anything else, it would
confused
still
right
be
now.
within the bylaws. And that is debatable. So with that, we'll move into a period of debate to hear this motion. Those wishing to debate for it? Senator Pulliam?
Alright, so the bill that we're about to bring up, y'all are kind of aware of the judicial court case now. Basically, it's addressing the fact that
Please stay in order and listen.
judicial court set forth in their report. So we want to address those, make things right. More importantly, we want to get 7 senators back in speaking privileges and voting privileges. Real senators again, because y'all, you guys, it's just flat out wrong that we have 7 people that should be senators right now who are.
I'm sorry, that's out of order.
Point of order.
State your point.
It has to be on the agenda to be brought up. We haven't even voted yet
You're
on
right.
the agenda.
So with that, this is now the original motion. This is moving to set aside the orders of the day. It's not continuing legislation, it is moving to set aside the orders of the day, which means
Could you explain what setting aside the rules?
setting aside the orders of the day means we are no longer bound to the agenda in its order. It means things can come in order as people present them. State your point.
Is not the person debating just explaining why they want this?
No, this is two different things. This cannot be added to the agenda unless we first suspend, or unless we first set aside the orders of the day.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
State your point.
Would it be most efficient to, so if this motion is only setting aside the orders of the day and doesn't consider the bill,
No.
would it be more expedient to suspend the rules and consider this bill explicitly?
It would be more efficient. It would be more efficient to go ahead and set aside the rules of the day so that that can be brought up, and then at that point, people will debate on the merits of that motion.
Thank you.
So with that, all those in favor of moving to set aside the orders of the day, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Division.
Division's been called. All those for 2/3. It is 2/3. So all those wishing to move.
Point of information, Madam Speaker.
State your
I'm
point.
sorry to do this, but weren't we supposed to have debated for and against before we?
No, that was the first motion.
Okay.
This motion is not debatable. But thank you for clarifying. So with that, all those for setting aside the orders of the day so that we can hear that, please stand.
That's it.
You got like 2/3.
All those opposed, please stand. Please stay in order. That's 2/3. Yes. Everyone, please stay in order. It's essential at this point. We have now set aside the orders of the day. So at this point, any motion can be made.
Madam Speaker, I move to go into open session.
And consider a piece of legislation.
That can be, yes.
And
consider that piece of legislation. Special presentation.
It's not separate motions. At this point, we do not have to move into open session. Any motion is in order. So therefore, if someone is moving to introduce a bill as emergency legislation, that is in order and it is debatable. So now with that, everyone please stay in order. So now we will, Senator Pulliam.
Madam Speaker, I move to introduce, or to consider the Womack versus Bowen response bylaws bill.
As emergency legislation or not?
As emergency legislation.
As emergency legislation. With that, we'll move into a period of debate on what, actually, do we want to move into debate on whether or not to consider it, or move into debate to hear a presentation?
First presentation.
Presentation.
Presentation?
No.
Okay. Is there a second to his motion to hear this? Multiple seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Division's been called. This is a majority vote. All those for hearing this bill as emergency legislation, please stand.
This is to consider it, right? Inquiry, just ask a question. Isn't that two separate motions? Isn't
Yeah,
the
those are
motion to
two.
bring it to it? Is
Not-
one motion?
Not after we set aside the words with the dates.
So it can be brought and considered emergency in the same motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Just so everyone's clear. We are now no longer following this agenda. Because 2/3 of the Senate voted in the affirmative. State your point. No, that's why we're voting on this. We're voting now. He introduced a motion
To consider it.
to consider it as emergency legislation. That is one motion. Everyone please stay in order. Everyone opposed to hearing this motion at all, please stand. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes do have it. We will now hear this presentation. You have 10 minutes to present this bill. Senator Syrier, you have it. To hear it?
Yeah, to consider it.
To consider it now. And I will state your point, please stand.
How long will this postpone all the presentations and the people who've been waiting?
Per the bylaws, it's up to a 10-minute presentation plus 5 minutes of question and answer and up to 15 minutes of debate, unless there are extensions on any of that. But we are now hearing this presentation. You have 10 minutes.
Would the other bill authors like to come forward? And also, if it's possible, could we go ahead and just get this everyone's inbox? Anyways.
EDO Syria, can you send that?
Can you do that?
Do y'all want me to read it to you, or do y'all want to get it up here?
Can we get it?
Alright, I'm gonna kind of go over it. Y'all are aware of the situation. So, if you'll have to skip down to the process. And everyone else on this bill, I'd love to have some help. Anyways, so section 2 is really important. It says the following individuals previously served as student senators. Goes on to explain that they have the same privileges. And if we could just keep the screen up a little more. This is saying we want these people back in the Senate immediately. As soon as we take a vote on this bill, they will be in the Senate. The Speaker does not even have to sign this legislation. If the judicial court decides that part of it is unconstitutional, not the whole bill is unconstitutional, just that part. We've made a foolproof bill here to get these 7 people back in the Senate. All we have to have is a 2/3 vote. Can we move it up some? Well, let's see what other...
It should now be in everyone's inbox, if you want to read it line by line.
So please read through this. It'll clear it up a lot. It's unfortunate that we are in this situation today, where we really have senators who aren't currently, sitting as senators. They can't vote in the biggest election of probably the session if we don't pass this. And I bet it was a really hard phone conversation when they had to call up their parents today and tell them, I was so excited 2 weeks ago when I got in the Senate, but you know what? Because some people thought their personal political careers were more important than myself, I was kicked out of the organization. Unjustly. Without any backing from the governing documents. I'm glad I didn't have to have that conversation. I bet that was fun. So I ask y'all to support this legislation. It's a simple matter. It's just putting 7 Aggies, 7 senators, who should be voting and speaking privilege for these senators back in this body.
Sideways.
All right, does anyone else as a sponsor?
They just emailed it.
Please stay in order. This is crucial.
Anyway, so basically, this is how we're going to get through this meeting, get everyone back in the Senate. If this doesn't happen, these people will miss this meeting, may not get back in the Senate. It'll be a big lapse of integrity of this body that You know, we're just gonna kick people out, not be true to our fellow senators, have their backs, and I guess we'll go to
With that, state your point.
I don't have this in my inbox, the specific bill, so could the bill author please read the bill for the body?
I believe it was sent out.
I don't have it.
I got it. So just refresh it.
Has anyone received it?
Yes.
Can someone please forward that to the people who don't have it? Raise your hand if you've not received the bill in your inbox. Have you received all other emails on the Senate listserv?
Yes.
If you, he's forwarding it, okay. Are you using Gmail? If you're not, you should be. With that, we'll now move into a period of question and answer.
Madam
First,
Speaker,
state your point.
I grant speaking privileges to the 7 former senators.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to grant speaking privileges to the 7 former senators, Carlos Falcon, Drew Barber, Tyler Moquin, Sam Hodges, Charles Nelson, and Jonathan Schindler. This requires 2/3. There's multiple seconds. Requires 2/3. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. And then me and the chair, the ayes who have it, those people now have speaking privileges, and they can ask questions, they cannot debate.
Madam Speaker,
Say your
I move to give speaking privileges to Chief Justice David Glasheen. Does he already have them? Okay, just making sure.
That's the same for them. They can ask questions. You want to ask questions? That's the same speaking privileges that they now have. They can ask questions, they can answer questions, but they cannot debate. So it is the same speaking privileges. Thank you. With that, all right, is your presentation concluded, Senator Pling? With that, for question and answer, Senator Rogers.
Howdy, Senator Rogers, off campus. I understand that this bill lets them in and that it can be divided or severed, but do you not think that if J-Court does the parts of this constitution, it could invalidate the votes we take tonight, such as the in-state tuition bill, because then it's unconstitutional?
What a criminal preference.
State your point.
Can you repeat that question? I couldn't hear.
My question was, even though this bill can be severed into different parts, if J-Court rules one of those parts unconstitutional, do you think that it will invalidate some of the votes taken tonight that they participated in, such as the in-state tuition bill, which is very important? So do you think that's...
Well, that's certainly a valid concern, but I will say that I'm very confident that 100% of this bill is very constitutional. Not only have I looked at it, many members of this body, many past leaders of the Senate and SGA leaders have helped us with this issue. I'm very confident that this is constitutional. Now, you raise a good point. We could have a lot more judicial activism in which judicial court does things that are not in its purview, that they shouldn't be doing. And in that case, you know, if we're that out of control, then I guess they could pick parts of it out. But I'm very confident that all of this is constitutional. Thank you for your question.
With that, Senator Davenport.
Senator Davenport, College of Education. Justin Plomer, are you telling me that you do not believe that the process by which these vacancy interviews were granted were illegal, seeing as how 2 people who are not Senate officers were in there interviewing people and voting on whether they should be senators or not? Is that not illegal, per our bylaws?
Well,
The chair would refer that to Chair Thornburg, the Rules and Regulations Chair.
As far as I'm concerned, if Caroline and Eric Fitz get to vote on who gets a vacancy, then they get to sit in on those interviews. Because if that's how it's going to be, like if they're not allowed to sit in the interviews but vote, that's even more illegal and not fair than it already
Brief
is.
clarification, Madam Speaker.
Say your point.
Per our bylaws, Chair Thornburg, are they deemed officers by our bylaws? Because last time I
The Appropriations Chair is.
What about the EDO?
She is not.
Q.
With that, everyone please stay in order. State your point.
Is the EDO
Stay in order.
Is the EDO considered a member of the Internal Affairs Committee?
Yes, yes they are.
Second point of order. Is it in the bylaws? Is it the Internal Affairs Committee or is it termed officers as to those that vote?
The Internal Affairs Committee.
Okay, thank you.
With that, next, Senator Groskebauer.
Carrasco, off campus. My question is actually for David. I noticed before things got mixed up, you actually had a special presentation that probably would have explained a lot of the things that we're about to vote on. So I guess my question
The chair would rule that that's debatable.
was it on the agenda?
The agenda was for Vice Chief Justice confirmations and judicial court bylaws.
Okay, well I just assumed he was going to describe that.
That would have been out of order.
I guess I'll ask my question anyways. Is that okay?
Yes,
Okay.
I will refer.
Thank you. So my question is, how did you come to this ruling? How did you decide?
Now, is this a point of information you're raising?
No,
or is this
it's a question for him about.
Well, that has to be through a point of information. Question and answer has to be directed.
Okay, then I'll direct a point of information that I hope that you direct towards David. So my question is, Hillary, if what enforcement mechanism the judicial branch has and why we're conflicting right now, why we need to pass this bill?
I would pass it on to Chief Justice David Glasheen.
Well, that's a very interesting question, and heard a lot of different opinions from people here tonight. But the fact of the matter is, the judicial court is kind of like the Supreme Court of student government, in that we're the ultimate interpreter of conflicts that arise from bylaws, constitutionality, that sort of thing. I have a short slideshow presentation that could be part of a special presentation. It would certainly expand on the court's decision.
That would be out of order during special presentations.
And so it would definitely clarify a lot of these issues, and I think it would lay to rest a lot of the blatant falsehoods that have been thrown around this evening.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome. With that, moving on in question and answer, Chair Esparza.
Justin, in the interest of fairness, we're not listening to outside influences. Wouldn't it be best, we heard your side, to now hear Chief Justice Glasheen's side and the court side of it? Before we make an opinion, we're not listening to outside influences. Isn't that the most fair option to have?
Chair Esparza, I know that I requested at the beginning of this meeting for all the judicial court documents to be distributed to all the senators. Everyone has those in their inboxes, so I hope that everyone does look through those, especially the writ of injunction that the Senate filed on behalf of these 7 senators that was blatantly ignored by the judicial court, and I don't know if they're even going to hear the appeal. This is about personal politics and about advancing the careers of certain senators.
He's going on to debate.
Please answer the question.
Would it not be fair to allow them to hit their side? We've heard yours.
Every other motion we present, the people,
both sides
bill
speak,
authors,
right?
That is out of order.
Everyone gets to speak in debate. But I mean, unless we're going to start doing 2 presentations for every bill now, this is how our standard procedures are. The people introducing a bill for the presentation.
That is out of order. That is out of order. With that, Chair Caperton. Everyone, please stay in order.
Chair Caperton, I was just going to ask if we could put it on the screen, and go to whereas 3. Among other things, it says towards the end, but instead should be viewed as an opinion with prospective application. I'm just trying to get a clarification here as to what we're intending by that. Are we suggesting that what the court's decisions are merely an opinion with prospective application? Is that what we're suggesting? Suggesting here that what the court says can be considered but not mandatory by Senate?
Well, my personal belief is that judicial court had no power to do what they did. However, the officers of the Senate decided that we're going to abide by the decision that was made. And this is just saying that we are in this bill going to do everything they asked in their court decision, but there's going to be some serious looking into the relationship between the student senate and the judicial court. Maybe not at this meeting, but certainly 2 weeks from now.
In the interest of time, there's only about 3 minutes left. State your point.
I move to suspend the rules and following the close of question and answer, allow for a 5-minute presentation by Chief Justice David Glasheen to explain the decision that the judicial court came to.
That motion requires a 2/3 majority. There's multiple seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Okay, at the conclusion of this question and answer, which will go on about 3 more minutes, we will hear a 5-minute presentation from the court. With that, Tyler Moquin.
Were we or were we not confirmed by the 2/3 Senate procedure?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. Not only were you confirmed by over 2/3 of the student senate, but you were voluntarily sworn in to the Student Government Association and the Student Senate by the Chief Justice of the Judicial Board. So thank you for rising.
With that, Senator Lane.
Yes, can you please explain to us the level of judiciary activism that occurred?
So your point? Level of judicial activism, the bill author can...
Judicial activism?
That's out of order. The chair, or the bill author can answer at his own discretion. I will rule it out of order if it is so.
Well, that's a very interesting point.
Please stay in order.
We've seen several court cases over the past year or two that have been highly questionable, I think this one tops it. There's no precedent for doing this. There's nothing in our bylaws that says you can remove a senator after they've been sworn in, unless by a recall, by absences, or in our Constitution by grades, or by impeachment. So those are the four options for removing senators. And basically, the activism that's been placed forth is that even though I was elected, everyone who was elected back in the spring, you can now be removed in one night by the J Court. Just like that, you're out of Senate, even if you were elected by the student body. This is dangerous waters that we're treading into, and Judicial Court doesn't have ultimate authority like this. They're way out of bounds, and we should all be concerned about this.
Thank you. With that, Senator Brown, the chair would also remind the body that if you are called out of order, after being called out of order 3 times, you are censured. So with that, Senator Brown.
Senator Brown, General Studies. Senator Poland, were the issues that the Judicial Court now brought up, were they not brought up during debate in terms of confirming the senators? That way we could get that out there ahead of time before we did the 2/3 vote?
There certainly was debate on the process. And there was debate about whether it was correct and whether it wasn't. And after that, everyone decided by over 2/3 of the vote that it was a good process. And I stand by that process as I did 2 weeks ago. And I don't think anyone else better in the Senate could have done the process how I have it outlined. I've proposed options for new processes, but for what we have right now in our bylaws, the IA committee did a dang good job.
That question and answer has now expired per the suspension of the rules sustained earlier. We'll now move into a 5-minute presentation by the Judicial Court, if they so wish. With that, you have 5 minutes. It'll also be subject to question and answer.
This is a humorous little introduction. Clarify some of the If there was a title to this presentation, it would definitely be The Bylaws Strike Back. So next slide, please. A little bit of background information that we can go through here. Senate vacancy process began October 20th, 2010. Applications were evaluated by a collection of senators, about 5. From those application scores, Scott Bowen, in conjunction or in consultation with Sarah Edwards, conducted interviews. Those interviews were conducted by the Senate officer team, in addition to Caroline Cyrier and, from my understanding, Eric Fitz. After that, the Internal Affairs Committee voted on which applicants to recommend to the Senate. Senate debated and affirmed the Internal Affairs Committee's recommendations as they are. And then I, David Glenstein, gave the oath of office to those applicants. So after that, Kyle Womack filed an appeal about that process. Scott Bowen defended it, and Judicial Court ruled that the Senate's own bylaws set out to legally incorporate new members was not followed. Okay, so kind of what happened was, to use a sports analogy here, let's say you hit a home run, but you'd miss second base somewhere along the way. You can't say that you're safe when you get home. And that's kind of what happened here, is that all these senators, they did nothing wrong themselves. It was actually an illegal procedure to incorporate new members into your body. So, next slide, please. This is the jurisdiction. I've heard a lot of things that, I've never found anywhere the jurisdiction that Judicial Court has. And you can find that looking at the Constitution. That's the SGA Constitution. That reads, interpreting the Constitution branch bylaws, as well as ruling on conflicts that arise from the course of student government. So, next slide, please. going into the violations of the bylaws, there's essentially 3 violations here. This is from Article 9, Section 2, Subpoint D, the first part of it. It calls for a standing vacancy committee to be appointed at the beginning of the fall semester to review applications for appointments and select those who will be interviewed. As the big thing in the red letters show, that wasn't completed. Next slide, please. No standing vacancy committee was created, and since that committee is supposed to be established at the beginning of the fall semester, anyone who is not in Senate at the beginning of the fall semester, the incorporation of this committee would not be eligible to participate. Next slide, please. The committee shall be open to any senator who may serve as many times as they want. It's completely voluntary and they'll be called on, blah, blah, blah. This wasn't completed. The presentation from Scott Bowen, the arguments that argued that a standing committee was created at the beginning of the year. It wasn't announced, and then the entire Senate was that standing committee. However, as it says here, this is strictly voluntary participation. So you run into a logical fallacy there that unless the entire Senate volunteered without their knowledge, that standing committee did not actually happen. So, next slide, please. Those applications will be ranked, discussion will occur, and we're on the next slide, please. Thank you. And so it says this. This was mostly completed. Positive note here. Green lights. Next slide, please. One problem, the committee still doesn't exist. However, there's no evidence that the discussion occurred outside the non-existent committee. And only the rankings of the people who evaluated the applications were turned in. So, mostly good on that one. Green check mark. Next point, please. Yes. And then next. No, wait. Or on you. Okay. So, next. All right. Those were reviewed by the standing vacancy committee and then granted.
Madam Speaker, point of information. Why were these concerns not brought forth to the Senate body before the confirmation of these 7 senators?
I think that had something to do with there was a debate, and I think you were the first to speak. You said this is a damn good process, I think, as you put it. Then Mark Womack came
The chair would rule that this is all out of order. I must direct points of information. I will now direct that point of information.
Okay, so what I just said. And then I think that Mark Womack came and spoke next and raised some ethical concerns about the process. And then Hillary Albright, speaker, she sat down from her position and she said that as a Speaker of the Senate, she can confirm that nothing sketchy had happened and that everything was done complete.
That's not a direct quote. If someone wants to see the direct quote, they can go and look at the...
It is online, and I think that's a very accurate representation of what she said. So based on that, then, the Senate voted, and by a 2/3 majority confirmed that. So, based on this, interviews are supposed to be given by the Standing Vacancy Committee. It didn't happen. And as Scott Bowen himself said in the judicial court hearing, he gave out interviews to applicants in consultation with Sarah Edwards, not the Standing Vacancy Committee. So next slide, please. That's what that is.
30 seconds.
So basically what happened is, since these people weren't legally incorporated in the Senate, those seats are still vacant. This is not a commentary on the senators the people who are chosen to be senators. They're excellent people, motivated to serve their students, and it's very unfortunate that the Senate body is going to be slowed down by the incomplete, illegal process that was completed here, as led by Scott Bowen. So, if you have any questions, I'd certainly welcome those.
Chair McDuffie.
Point of personal preference, Madam Speaker. I'd ask that you yourself stay in order.
Sustained. All right, I'll tally that one down. Chair McDuffie.
Greg McDuffie, off campus. Chief Justice Glenn Sheen, given the problems that have been identified in the process that has been used thus far for precedent, why is it that you felt it necessary to nullify these results rather than issue, say, a writ of mandamus that would require the results to be changed in the future when, in fact, you yourself said the exact same 7 people would be chosen in this process if done again?
Well, yes, that's an excellent question. And what this is, this case was interpreting the bylaws. And Scott Bowen interpreted, or whoever it was that the Senate as a body interpreted the bylaws to say standing vacancy committee means not a standing vacancy committee, and all the other things like that. So when that case came before judicial court, we as a superior judgment, superior body in sort of that litigation sense, we said this is an incorrect interpretation of your own bylaws. And so therefore, since you missed second base, so to speak, the legal process to incorporate new senators wasn't followed. So what we're doing is we're not removing people, we're not nullifying the results, as you put it, but we're really pointing out that the entire process didn't happen. Does that answer your question?
Follow?
Keep it brief.
Does that mean that the results from the last meeting in which they voted in, because they were never senators, didn't matter?
That's an excellent question. And that's under, I have a few more slides entitled FAQ if we have time to get to those, and that's one of them. No, this bylaw, this judicial court ruling takes effect around 11 o'clock Monday night when we made the decision. The status of previous votes outside the scope of this decision entirely, okay? And I think that it would be impractical and almost impossible to prove something about previous votes and that sort of thing, and especially since records aren't kept. So to answer your question most directly, though, no, this ruling has nothing to do with any decision before the time that was passed.
With that, Chair Russo.
Chair Russo, Student Services. If your decision was to go retroactively and to decide that the process was invalid for this vacancy process, why, when the same vacancy process was used to fill the first set of vacancies, is it not applied with the same ex post facto ruling to remove all those senators who were filled in a vacancy process exactly the same during this session?
Well, that would certainly be an interesting legal question. It's outside the scope of this case. And so you could say that as a precedent, you have to follow your bylaws to incorporate, new senators. But the judicial court's not going and ruling on things outside the scope of this case.
Tyler Buckland.
Would you mind telling me where in the judicial court powers does it say that you can remove a confirmed and appointed, or not, confirmed and approved member of the Senate?
So you raise two points there. You raise a 2/3 confirmation vote by the Senate, and you raise oath of office that I administered. So the 2/3 vote is one step in the process of legally incorporating new members in the body, okay? So while it is one of the very last steps, it doesn't invest anyone with some sort of irrevocable authority. What it is it's a part of one long step in a series of legal processes. Same with the oath of office. There, it's a symbolic act where I'm charging you with a duty to, represent the student body, whatever else it says in the oath. Just because that's the last thing that happens doesn't mean that you've made it home safe if not the proper legal steps have been followed all the way through.
Brief follow-up.
Keep it brief.
May I ask, is it in writing that you can actually remove a member from Senate?
I don't know if that's in writing somewhere. I mean, probably in the world. Maybe like you're talking about the Constitution and bylaws. I'm sorry?
This particular SGA.
Okay, I don't know about that, but what it is clear is that judicial court is one of the many mechanisms that student government has to interpret and enforce its own rules. And as such, we said, Senate didn't follow its own rules to legally incorporate new senators.
With that, Senator Wilson.
Tanner Wilson, College of Science. Under the assumption that we all agree with you that the process was not followed correctly and that you were correct in your judgment, and would this, in your opinion, would this bill perhaps be a good solution to rectify the wrongs of the past and move forward?
Well, a good solution, that calls for a value judgment. The judicial court doesn't do that. We stick to the rules.
In your
what it is, I'm not here to offer personal opinions, but what it is, the result of this is that now, Senate, you can either finish that vacancy process as you want, or you can use your other bylaws that, correctly following your own bylaws that don't violate the Constitution, you may use another way to incorporate these senators into your body at your discretion. We're not telling you how to run your own business, because this is a bylaws thing, but what we do say is you have to follow the own rules that you as a body set out for yourself.
With that, Senator Gerskebauer, and that will be withdrawn. Senator Lane.
Point of order.
State your point.
Is it at all possible for us to go ahead and assemble a committee to approve new senators right here on the spot and do it right here tonight if they so choose want us to do it right now?
That would require suspension of the bylaws, and yes, that would be in order. With a 2/3 suspension of the bylaws. With that, question and answer has now expired. So we are moving back into debate on this piece of legislation that Senator Flynn is debating for. Senator for the bill? Yes, for the Senator Wolf.
Howdy.
Howdy.
First off, I want to start by saying my brother twice in J Court and here before you tonight
Never said he wanted to benefit from this J Court ruling, okay? He said he did. And to defend J Court, he's not going to benefit from it because it's been made extremely clear to everybody present that no matter what happens, Kyle Womack will not be admitted into the Texas A&M Student Senate. It's just not an option. So that's why I ask that you vote for this piece of legislation. I would also call up to question my brother, who at best was removed for a transcript error, that no bill was written for him. I think that's kind of conspicuous. No outcry was said, hey, Kyle, you got removed for a transcript error, but, you know, forget about it. You know, we don't care about you. Just to point out one more thing that happened, and I found out during the course of this piece of this trial. Those of you who know Kyle might find this particularly interesting. Kyle, according to both witnesses in the courtroom, I'm stumbling because I'm so absolutely furious with this. Kyle was when they got to off campus, because it was quote the most contentious. When they got to off campus, the first person whose name was removed, according to both people.
The chair.
Absolutely not.
It's out of order per the bylaws. The process during the IA when they are considering vacancies, that is executive session per the bylaws. The only open IA meetings are everything but those, and that is in the bylaws. I'm sorry.
Can someone who has an understanding of these rules please think of some way where I can tell you the truth about what happened? Anybody? Also, I'd like to apologize. Forget it. You know what? Just forget it. I'd like to apologize to everybody that came here to see a debate, have to hear this nonsense. For those of you who want to know what happened to Kyle Womack, why he's not a senator, he was accused of lying. I can't tell you what he lied about. I can tell you that my brother does not lie. It is a lie to say that he lied, and I take it personally. At this point, it has now become personal. You can say he's not qualified. You can say he's done wrong. All those things are incorrect. But when you call my brother a liar, it's now become personal. Especially when he told J Court specifically that he never wanted to benefit from this. And also, don't worry. No matter what happens, no matter what he did, he'd never be admitted back to the Senate.
Senator Womack, I'm sorry, but we're debating on the bill.
Yes, of course. I encourage you to vote for this piece of legislation because no matter what you do, no matter what you think about J Court, our relationship with the other branches, these people will be in their seats. Because one, I frankly think they deserve to be in their seats. But two, the decisions have been made, and that's all there is to it. So, don't fight it.
Without wishing to debate against? Senator Davenport?
Senator Davenport. Okay, well, I'm sorry, whatever, I just knocked over there. I think Senator Womack and I can agree on one thing. The people who were given their Senate seats, the people who are seated as senators should retain those. But here's, you all can judge me. I don't care. At this point, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the politics. I was raised by two very moral individuals, my mother and my father. And what they always taught me is, Ryan, and I told y'all this earlier tonight, to do the right thing. J Court has said that the process by which these senators were instated was flawed, and I happen to agree with them. And whether you agree with them or not is up to you. Here's what I ask you, Senate. Here, the one good thing I ask you all to do. If these people really are the individuals who should be in these seats, let them go through the process again and be picked. But be picked by the people who should be picking them, not the people who are... I'm sorry, Chair Thornburg, but I don't agree with you. I don't think your interpretation of the rules is correct. But I do not think
the chair would rule that she's the final authority within Senate.
And that's fine. And I'm just saying I disagree with that, and I'm entitled to that belief. But senators, please let these individuals go through the process so that at the end of the day, they can stand up, hold their head high, and say, I was picked by a legitimate process. Don't deny them that. Thanks and gig 'em.
Gig 'em.
To debate for Senator Lander.
Howdy.
These people, these seven senators, have already become senators. They've already voted. They're already in the Senate as far as I'm concerned, and they should remain that way. And going through the whole process again would be nice, I guess. But the thing is, because the bill was vetoed, it has to be discussed today. Okay? This bill that has to be discussed today has made national headlines. Okay? It's a big deal, and there are a lot of people that have opinions on this bill. And we've been criticized for not having proper student opinion. And although I'm not a math person. I like social studies, but I'm not a math person, but I do know that the more people voting on an issue, the more relevant and accurate that is as a representation, because no one senator's voice has as much power. So, if you're going to vote later and say that we need to have student opinion on this particular issue, then I hope you also vote on this issue to have as much student opinion as possible. So I yield to anybody who wants it. I yield to Tanner Wilson.
Okay, Tanner Wilson, College of Science. So I think that I've come to the conclusion that I agree with Jay Court's ruling. However, the thing I like about this bill is this is a pretty large committee to review these applicants. And I think that I think Ryan Davenport is absolutely correct. They need to be able to hold their heads high and say that they were picked through an accountable process. And I think that if they're confirmed by the entire Senate, again, knowing what happened, knowing their qualifications, knowing their race, if we all together as a body say, we screwed up, but we did receive all the applications, we looked at them all in a review process, they were all reviewed, and now we would like to vote to confirm them, not even confirm them again, because you know how confirmations go. This is saying we know what happened. We admit what happened, we understand it, but these are the 7 people that we, as a Senate, this is everybody that could possibly be in that committee to select them to put before the body. So why split it up into multiple steps? I mean, it seems to me like this is, you know, I would feel no shame walking out of here if the entire Senate did this, and I yield to Evan Land.
With that, you have 7 seconds.
All right. They may feel like they're being denied the opportunity to be confirmed properly, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be more angry about being denied the opportunity to serve in Senate. Thanks again.
Point of information, Madam Speaker.
State your point.
All right, I have one thing to be clarified. Per the vacancy process, after all the Senate gets to review the vacancy, the applications, is it not true that then the Internal Affairs grants interviews to up to 4 individuals for each caucus? And so there is a chance that somehow, some way, someone may get shuffled around and we may not get the same 7.
Yes, but the chair would also say that as this is a legislative body, this body has the ability to legislate and to alter any procedures through this body for our internal business as it sees fit through a 2/3 vote. And with that, to debate against
Howdy, Alex.
Howdy. Howdy.
What a circus. You know how it gets even worse when you don't have rules and bylaws, but we set them aside, so okay. When Jay Court ruled that Kyle could not come back in the Senate over the winter break, or over the summer break, we stood by that ruling because we respected them. We respected the institution, we respected their authority. But now that we get a ruling that some people don't like, it's all of a sudden, oh, whoa, we don't have the power to do that. That's not within your right to do. We can't pick and choose what we decide to agree with. We have rules, we have governing documents, and we have procedures for a reason. When we do this, we're saying, you know what, the bylaws were nice, but you know it's gonna be, we got a lot of people here. Let's not bother them with this. Let's just get this done quickly. Let's go past the rules and let's just get these people in here. Let's do it quickly. We are here in a circus today because we didn't follow the rules. Do we want to do that again? Do we want to not put the rules aside? And I know Tanner said it would be easier, but you know sometimes the easy way out is not always the right thing to do. And you know, if they're going to be chosen again, let them not have this cloud over their head that these were the only senators that had to have a special bylaws bill designation to get them in. That's a huge cloud over your head. When they go up to speak, I'm always going to think that was the guy that got in because of the special.
State your point.
Out of those 7 senators, who believes this is going to be a cloud over their head that all these people keep talking about?
I would refer that to the chair as far as he's speaking.
Oh, I have one.
That's out of order.
Not me. Personal preference.
State your point.
Should the point of information be addressed to the people that actually pertains to your 7 people in the room?
Yes, it could, as long as they don't speak. They do not have speaking privileges during debate, so they can raise their hands or pass it through to someone else. But with that, Chair, that is out of order. Chair Sparzik, you have 30 more seconds. With that, please stay in order, yes.
Point of personal preference. Can we not interrupt speakers during debate? Sorry, with respect.
Sustained. With that, Senator Brown.
Senators, the people that were chosen to be senators were chosen by us. We understood the issues that were brought up during debate. They were confirmed by a justice who understood the issues. The fact of the matter is, they were sworn in, they've debated this bill. All this bill is trying to get is more student opinion on the bill that is up ahead of us tonight. We want student opinion. We keep saying we want student opinion. Well, we're trying to get that tonight. We're trying to add 7 more students who can share their opinion. We have other issues ahead of us, more important issues than this right here, and we need to get on with this bill. Let these students put their opinion in. I yield to Senator Ariza.
Okay, everyone, we've wasted a lot of time on this. I think we've all made up our minds. Madam Speaker, I call previous question.
There's a motion on the floor for previous question, multiple seconds. This will just move to a vote on the bill. So all those in favor of moving to a vote on this legislation, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Point of information.
Take your point. Well, actually, I called Senator Davenport first.
I'm sorry I always do this, but I want to make sure that this is a ballot vote. That I move to keep it a ballot vote.
The chair will sustain that. Ballot vote. So we will now, Senator Pulliam.
I second.
That is in order, but this requires a 1/6 second, I believe. Chair Thornburg.
How do you want it?
Just to make it safe, all those in favor of a ballot vote, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, no, not a ballot vote, sorry. All those in favor of a roll call vote, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Nay. The chair calls division. All those for a roll call vote, please stand. All opposed, please stand.
Madam Speaker,
what does our bylaws say about moving for the roll call vote?
I believe it says 1/5. That's 1/6. That's 1/6 second in the
Point of
bylaws.
information.
Say your point.
Haven't our bylaws been suspended?
That is, no. The bylaws have not been suspended in their time. That is not true. Okay, we will have a roll call vote per our bylaws. Same point.
And this is clear. One,
Everyone please stay in order.
What is the bill number on this bill? And 2, what is a for vote for and a against vote saying?
The chair would advise that this bill would be numbered SB 6355. And a for vote means passing this bill, which means those 7 senators will be reinstated, and it will uphold the ruling of J Court that the process did not follow the bylaws, and a no vote would oppose that.
Wait.
A no vote would say, it would negate the bill. If this bill would not be brought up, we would continue on with other business. Say your point.
So a no vote means we're saying that these 7 senators would not be considered senators?
Yes.
Okay.
Point of information, is this a vote on the bill or on emergency legislation?
This is a vote on the bill as emergency legislation. So with that, it was 1/5 seconded for a ballot vote. Speaker Bowen. Roll call vote. My apologies for a roll call vote. Yes. Sustained. Everyone please.
Myself, for Chair Thornburg. Chair Esparza.
Against.
Chair Caperton. Chair Russo.
For.
Chair McDuffie.
For.
Senator Bell. Senator Bell. Senator Zoller. Senator Sheffield.
Against.
Senator Radley. Senator Webb. Senator Webb. It's in the roll sheet.
That would be why there's no same color.
All right. Senator Hemler. Senator Whitaker.
For.
Senator Robertson. Senator Robertson. Senator Touch.
Against.
Senator Pulliam.
For.
Senator Latham.
For.
Senator Beatty.
For.
Senator Davenport.
Against.
Senator Keever. Senator Landry. Senator Logsdon. Senator Elizabeth Smith. Senator Elizabeth Smith. Senator Young. Senator Young. Senator Dardier. Senator Menard. Senator Weathers. Senator Rachel Sullivan. Senator Brown.
For.
Senator Olson.
For.
Senator Liska. Senator Pena.
Against.
Senator Stevens.
Against.
Senator Brody Smith.
Against.
Chair Fitz.
For.
Senator Wilson.
For.
Senator Jordan Harris.
For.
Director Ariza.
For.
Senator Colker.
Against.
Senator McDonald.
For.
Senator Mark Womack.
Why not?
Is that a yes?
Yes, it's yes.
Senator Lindsey Sullivan.
For.
Senator Scoggins.
Against.
Senator Gross-Skobauer.
Against.
Senator Hilton.
For.
Senator Neidegger.
Against.
Senator Rogers.
Against.
Senator Johnson.
For.
Senator Lord.
For.
Senator Rooney. Senator Rooney. Senator Landis.
For.
Senator Nietzsche.
Again.
Senator Crumbley.
For.
Senator LaMarche. Senator LaMarche. Senator Crow.
Quattro. For.
Senator Jody Harris. Senator Jody Harris.
For.
Senator Riley.
For.
Senator Lang.
For.
Senator Lawson. Senator Bender.
For.
Senator Murad.
Against.
Senator Reichard.
For.
Senator Kirk.
Against.
Senator Cox.
Against.
Senator Chaudhry.
Abstain.
Now we can make motions on the agenda.
I have no idea.
Stay in order. State your point.
I move to the special presentation for the veto by Jacob Robinson and then into SB 62.
Okay, and then would we come back to Dave Lushy's other presentation? Okay, fair enough. With that, we'll move into a special presentation from SB Robinson. Well, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. There's all those wishing to second that motion. Multiple seconds. All those wishing to move into special presentations to hear SVP Jacob Robinson's presentation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. And if you make sure the ayes have it, you have 10 minutes starting at aye. State your point.
What is parliamentary procedure? Forgive me if this is not how it's supposed to be done. May I request that you give us the tally of the people who have been called out of order and an explanation of any action you have taken?
By my count, people, correct me if I'm wrong, but Speaker Bowen at 1, and Chris Esparza at 5, and myself at 1. And so that means anyone who's been called out of order more than 3 times is now censured.
Point of information.
Per our bylaws. Say your
What
point.
did Chris Esparza do 5 times?
I said I called him out of order 5 times.
Point of information.
Say your point.
If it's
I appeal the decision.
Okay. There's an emotional force to appeal the decision of the chair.
Am I censored?
Well, no, I guess not.
In order. No, okay. How about let's have some. As of right now, you're censured, but someone else can appeal that. Senator, state your point.
What is censured? Can you explain it to me?
Censured means that you cannot speak and you cannot vote. After that's been called, so that vote can still be valid. Senator Womack.
2 quick things, point of information. Can you tell me for 5 individual things that Chris Esparza did?
No, I can't. People have made me aware that I have said out of order to him 5 times.
Okay, I believe you there. I appeal the decision of the chair, and let's not get carried away.
Okay. There's a motion to appeal the decision of the chair. This would need 2/3 of Senate to vote in the negative, which would sustain the appeal, which means that Chair Chris Esparza would have speaking privileges and voting privileges. So all those.
Point of information.
State your point.
Can you please tell us what does it mean if we say yes?
If you say yes, that means he cannot speak. If you say no, that means he can.
Thank you.
No, well, I would refer that to Chair Thornburg, the Rules and Regulations Chair, just to be sure. How about
parliamentary procedure.
state your point?
We're appealing the decision of the chair, so appealing that decision or voting for that appeal would grant Chris Esparza speaking privilege.
No, that's exactly opposite. Per Robert's Rules of Order. And I'm telling you right now, so if you vote yes, that means you are sustaining the chair, which means he is censured. And if you say no, that means you are not sustaining the chair's censure, and he is allowed to speak and vote.
Point of information.
State your point. This is getting out.
Is this debatable?
An appeal to the chair, yes. So do we want to debate on this? Senator Warren.
Howdy. Okay. First, real quick, this is getting really, really, really out of hand. Okay?
Everyone please
This is
stand
getting
by.
really crazy, really fast. Stop. Whoever did that, I don't know who did it. Someone is picking on Chris, I guess. Hillary did not call Chris and censure him. Somebody just found apparently convenient or whatever to censor Chris. That's wrong on so many levels. I don't know what I'm sitting right across from him, making eyes. He's not tearing up the meeting any more than I am, for sure, and not any more than a lot of other people are. So, no one can tell me the 5 individual things that Chris Esparza has done wrong. So if you think that somehow that's a good idea to start, censoring people for, tattling on each other, then you need to go back to kindergarten where that crap belongs, because this is not how we're going to conduct ourselves. Let's have some integrity. Let's stop the tit-for-tat nonsense. Let's finally get to what everybody actually came here to talk about. Let's do this quick, stop all the crap, and get to the actual presentation of the veto.
Any wishes to debate against? Senator Smith.
Senator Smith, for Liberal Arts. Didn't we just make a very, very big deal about the quality of everybody's vote counting over my debt?
Okay. With that, are there any wishes to debate for?
A debate for is debating to uphold the decision of the chair.
No.
With the vote?
A debate against is. That was unequal.
Well, then point of order, was that not just a debate against? Or a debate for?
That was a debate for, and who was debating for? You mean Senator Smith?
Yes.
I wasn't sure. Were you upholding my decision, or were you upholding Chair Esparza? Okay, then that is out of order. That should have been a for. Was that those wishing to debate for, which would be against the chair?
Point of order.
State your point.
Did not the people who wish to debate against not get an opportunity to speak in that current session?
That's fair. Okay, those wishing to debate against. Any wishing to debate? Senator Lang.
He interrupted me.
Everyone stay in order. Stay in order. You too. Russo, stay in order. No. Those wishing to debate for. Senator Davenport.
Senator Davenport, College Education. I want to ask our audience a question. Everyone who's standing here is not a student senator. Could you please raise your hand and whenever I ask this question? How many of you in here right now are less than pleased with the performance of your Senate right now? Senators, look around. Whenever we have a zoo like this, whenever we start to try to play games like this, we're not doing our duty. So man up or woman up, whichever one it is, whichever's applicable, and start doing your job. Thanks and game.
So student services, with due respect, Senator Davenport, you know what causes a zoo? Speaking out of order. And when we're having someone who's been talking all evening about upholding the bylaws and upholding procedure and respecting the procedures that we always have to follow, and then he himself starts interrupting during question and answer and interrupting when other people are speaking and have the floor, how are we expected as a body to move forward? And with that, I'll yield to Senator Brown.
Senators, how many of y'all joined student senate so you could just debate what goes on in Senate? Not a single one of you, I hope. Y'all wanted to get down to issues that actually affect the student body. This isn't what affects the student body, and I'm tired of us sitting here wasting time on what does not affect the student body. The student doesn't care about what goes on in terms of bylaws and all. They want to know what's going to affect them and their education, their money, their services. So let's get to the issues that students actually care about. I yield to Senator Sullivan.
Thank you. Senator Sullivan, off campus. Guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm kind of ashamed to be a senator right now, to be totally honest. I didn't join an organization. I've got tests tomorrow. I know a lot of you probably have testing projects. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. It's the point where I know a lot of you in here feel like walking out of this room, honestly, and this is embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed. And everyone, hi Mom, that can see us on Senate right now, I'm sure they're embarrassed for us too. We are not acting like Aggies at all. I think we're kind of acting like we live in Austin. So please quit the political stuff in Senate. Thank you very much.
Move previous question.
There's a motion to move to previous question, multiple seconds. All in favor? This is voting on whether or not to move to previous question on the appeal on whether or not to sustain the chair. So all those wishing to move to previous question, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. And the chair, the ayes do have it. Again, nay for, but state your point.
I withdraw because you're just about to explain it.
A 4 vote for this appeal of the chair would sustain, or would overturn the chair's decision that Chair Esparza was censured by being called out of order more than 3 times, and against would sustain that decision. So 4, he gets to speak, and that vote counts. Against, it doesn't. Are there any further?
I move for a voice vote.
There's a motion on the floor for a voice vote.
Just so we're all clear, if I say aye, Chris gets to talk?
Yes.
Cool.
All those for, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Independent chair, the ayes who have it. With that, we'll now move into Jacob Robinson.
Hey, something
Wait, wait. The chair will first make the body aware of the following motion. With 35 for, 22 against, and 2 abstaining, the motion to pass the previous legislation fails, I believe, 1 vote. If anyone wants to-
Wait, what?
35 for, 22 against, with 2 abstaining.
You have a vote.
That doesn't, it's here.
It's not time.
Let me, can someone double check the math for me?
Yeah, what were the numbers?
35 for, 22 against. The
Madam
numbers
Speaker?
don't count. State your point.
Can we please have the judicial court check the math?
6.2.
So wait, so let me see. One second, everyone stay in order. State your point. Everyone please stay in order.
Madam Speaker, could I advise somebody
Yes.
Okay, when you have a 2/3 vote, just take the number of against, multiply it by 2. If you don't have that many, it doesn't pass. If you do have that many, it does. 22 times 2 is 44, and we had 35, so it doesn't pass.
Even with 1 vote, like.
Even with 1 vote added, or subtract, yeah.
Okay, so with that, that motion stands, that bill fails. With that, SVP Robinson, resolution.
Good. Howdy.
Howdy.
All right, 2 things before we get started. 1, just to reiterate what we've heard tonight, please make sure you go out to Bonfire Remembrance tonight. Celebrate the lives of those individuals. I got to meet their families last year, being a part of Bonfire Remembrance ceremony, and it is exactly what we stand for as Aggies. So I encourage each and every one of you to go out there. The second thing is Bill Byrne has tweeted, I don't know what you want to call it, but over 25,000 students have pulled tickets for Saturday's game. And over 88,000 people have already gotten tickets for Saturday's game. So, all that to say is if you're a freshman, make sure you pull your tickets tomorrow. If you haven't pulled a ticket, please go pull a ticket. This is a very important football game. I don't really need to go any more in detail than that, but let's show up, be the 12th man. All right, now I'm talking about what we're all here for tonight, SB 6311. Tonight, I want to talk about a few things, but first I want to get some things out of the way. We're not here to debate the merits of the bill. We know what it is, we know what it says, things like that. This is not about politics. This is not which side of the aisle you stand on or what you believe. This is about political stuff. So let's keep that out of here, please. We are talking about the appropriateness of the bill and why I vetoed this. That's what we're talking about here in this presentation. And then we'll open it up for question and answer. I'll be happy to answer each and every one of those questions. Texas A&M Student Senate is here for the betterment of all students, not to create an antagonizing atmosphere for all students. Although the students that are in Texas illegally, the state of Texas gives them the right, as a taxpayer and as a Texas high school graduate, to pay in-state tuition. They are not breaking the law by paying in-state tuition, and tuition is not decided by Texas A&M, who, on this matter, is decided by the state of Texas. Now, I want to back up kind of to that second sub-point that they're not breaking the law by paying in-state tuition. The state law says that they can pay in-state tuition. So let's please be careful on who we say is breaking the Aggie honor code, who's not being an Aggie. Let's please use that line with the utmost respect and the seriousness that comes with that line. All right? They are not breaking the law. The state of Texas says that they can pay in-state tuition. Next slide. Texas A&M does not suffer a detriment from this policy. The illegal residents would pay out-of-state tuition if this law were changed, which would price the entire group out of Texas A&M. These students would be replaced by legal Texas residents still paying in-state tuition. So it's not a gain for the university monetarily. It's not helping out A&M get a bigger budget, anything like that. So that's kind of a moot point when we talk about budgets and things like that. The research brief that Senator Crumpler put together, by the way, very well done brief. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes again. But to quote a couple lines out of that brief, the cost of these legal students costs the state of Texas nearly $60 million per year. Taxpayers suffer as a result of the law. Because we as students wouldn't see a benefit from this policy. It's inappropriate for the student senate to spend so much time on the issue. It's a state issue that only affects us as taxpayers, not students. That's why, and that's one of the main reasons I vetoed this bill. Is it talks about a taxpayer issue. This is a state issue. We can voice our opinion as residents of the great state of Texas to our Texas legislature. We can voice our opinion to congressmen up in D.C. or senators up in D.C., whatever the case may be. But as an individual, not as student senate and student government in Texas A&M, because this is a taxpayer issue. Next slide. This is not an appropriate venue for this issue. Legislating on the issue does nothing but create a hostile environment for Aggieland and others' perception of A&M. Now, I know there probably will be a question a little bit. Well, Jacob, you introduced a bill a couple weeks ago that advocates for having a voting student region, and that's going to have to be changed by law down in Austin. But I have LR to talk about specific student issues, all right? And this is a residency issue and a taxpayer issue. This is not a student issue in that realm, all right? So that's another reason I vetoed the bill. There was absolutely no data on this bill. We can send a poll to Austin if we want with results, but we as student government do not need to make it a bill. And hearsay does not count as data, okay? Hearsay does not count as data, all right? We were asked for input on the bill, as some people have indicated. Okay, we were asked for input on the bill. Send a poll to people living in Bryan College Station, the students that reside in Bryan College Station and go to Texas A&M, and then send that data to Austin. Let them do it with what they want. All right, but not a student government. Not a student government. We have a lot of great work was done to research the bill. I'm going to give you that. There's a lot of work researching and putting together a brief, as I mentioned by Senator Cumberland. Let's keep doing that for all bills and let people know what we have. What we've done, research. And this has taken too much time in student senate. We have a lot of issues to be focusing on this year at Texas A&M. Next slide. This is an important year for Texas A&M. This is an important year for the history of Texas A&M. We are defining Texas A&M in a few things that we are doing for the next 10 to 20 years this year. We've got budget cuts. We've got maybe faculty reduction. We've got things going on that are shaping the university. Let's join with that cause, and let's be a part of changing Texas A&M for the betterment of the institution that we love so much. All right? We're spending too much time on issues when we're faced with serious problems right here on campus so we can be taken care of. Let's move forward to help the student body, and let's leave politics out of our year and the progress that we're making. This bill does not create a welcoming environment for current and future students at Texas A&M. And this sends the wrong message to people outside of Texas A&M about Texas A&M. Okay? I took a lot of consideration when I vetoed this bill. Trust me. I know many of you received a lot of emails. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you probably haven't been called all the names I've been called. From people all over the great United States. People tell me I don't love America. People tell me that I'm not a good person. I took all that into consideration. I took what was going to come with the decision that I made, and I stand by the decision that I made. This is not an issue for student senate. I'm not saying anything about it. This bill is not in the right place. Take your opinion to the state legislature. Take your personal opinion to the state legislature. But Texas A&M Student Senate is here for the betterment of each and every student at this university. Each and every student at this university. So let's make sure that we're doing that as we go throughout this year, okay? Let's make sure that it's at the forefront of every action that we do and every step that we take. Are the students that elected you, the students that elected me, and the students that we represent each and every day. And we hold ourselves to that standard, okay? We are here saying, you know what? You can judge what I do because I've taken a stance and I've said, vote for me and I will make these tough decisions. So let's make these tough decisions, but for the betterment of the students at Texas A&M. And let's help Texas A&M get through this year. Let's work alongside the administration to help define Texas A&M in the new path that we're going to be heading down. So with that, I'll open it up to
With that, we'll now move into period of question and answer on this bill. Chair Fitz.
You said in one of your bullet points that there wasn't data conducted. Do you want data conducted on all the bills at this point forward?
You mean all the ones we voted on?
Or, I mean, just like, or at any point in the future, like I said, the president wants that.
I mean, that'd be fantastic. And we talked about that earlier on this year. I mean, if we can really talk to our students and have a method of polling them, whatever the case may be, I don't know what that is. But whether in your own caucus, who you represent, if we have a way to poll those individuals, why not? Why not listen to the people that voted for us? What is bad about doing that? What is bad about listening to the individuals that put us in these positions?
With that, Senator Grosskopf.
Grant Grosskopf, off campus. Thanks for coming. Question, what preliminary results have you found from the SLS student surveys, or what information have you gathered that would explain your reasonings behind your veto, or maybe strengthen your veto?
The SLS survey, I haven't seen an SLS survey. There's not been a survey conducted for students. I have not seen it. I'm going to go out on
The chair would advise that I believe an SLS survey has been sent out, just so
Agreed.
everyone knows.
It's been sent out. Nobody's seen the results of it, like I was saying. But so there was no data to help make any decision to answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
With that, Senator Womack.
Howdy. Actually, on the topic of data, I know that many senators here have received a lot of emails about this bill. Could you tell us how many emails you received about this bill and the nature of those emails?
Well, a lot. I don't know exact numbers. I know the day after I vetoed it, or excuse me, the day after it was voted on here before I vetoed it, I think my inbox stopped at like 3:50, and that was just on Thursday.
Senator Pulliam, state your point.
Madam Speaker, point of information. How many of the emails the student body president received had identical text in the body except for the signature at the bottom of the email?
I would refer that to student body president.
I wasn't finished with the answer. The rest of the answer is that some of those emails said the exact same thing. They were emails sent from people that were passionate about an issue. Do I write those emails off? No. Should your representative in the state legislature write emails off and say the exact same thing, but people are passionate about it and take the time to send it? No. But on the other side, I did receive emails that were for this bill. I do not have the specific numbers for you, but I am absolutely certain that the numbers that I received against this bill outweigh the other.
Senator Pulliam, state your point.
Madam Speaker, point of information. My question was still not answered. I do have an answer, by the way. How many of the emails against the legislation had identical text in the body except for the signature?
I'll refer that to student body president Jacob Robinson. If he doesn't know, I'll refer back to you.
Yeah, I said a lot. I don't know specific numbers.
Senator Pulliam.
Over 1,076 emails.
Okay, with that.
It's open.
Are you, everyone's in order? Are you finished answering that?
One personal preference.
State your point.
Again, can we not interrupt the speaker while he's talking with a
State your point.
Is it possible to get, since this is such a highly debated topic, can we possibly get the PowerPoint emailed out so that way we can look at both sides of the issue when they're passed out?
Yes.
Thank you. This one right here.
Oh, you want it sent out? Sent out. With that, we'll continue with question and answer. Senator Crow.
Zach Crow, off campus. Thanks for coming. Earlier in your presentation, you mentioned if this bill were to pass, it would, quote, price the entire affected group out of Texas A&M. I was wondering, A, is that true and on what merit? And B, are there not other measures that these students can go to obtain in-state tuition?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to. You're talking about the line, the who would then pay out-of-state tuition, which would price almost the entire group. I don't know the exact numbers, but that's why I use the word almost. Tell me the second part of the question again.
I was just wondering if there are other measures that these students, if they were to be quote-unquote priced out of Texas A&M, are there not other options for them to obtain in-state tuition?
Yes, like we talked about tonight. I mean, you've heard tonight already that there's different ways that you can gain in-state tuition, scholarships, things like that. So yes.
Thank you.
With a little over 3 minutes left in question and answer, Senator Landry.
Howdy, Austin Lindsay, College of Education. You referenced one of your first, I think, 2 or 3 slides. Can the state government grant someone a right?
think it's both.
With that, Senator Ling.
Howdy, I have a two-part question. First of all, are you aware of the federal law about says any right that's afforded to an illegal immigrant must be afforded to an American citizen? And part B is, can you honestly look me in the eyes? And tell me
The
that-
chair would say that those are two separate questions, so you have to ask one of each.
Yes,
Okay, brief follow-up. Can you honestly look me in the eyes and tell me that vetoing this bill represents the student body of A&M? And if you answer no, how in touch are you with the student body of A&M?
That's good.
That's
Everyone stay in order. Senator Davenport.
Is that not two questions again?
The chair was just saying that. Please ask the first question. Everyone stay in order.
Well, to go back earlier, we don't know because there was absolutely no polling. So I think that's kind of a moot point, like I mentioned earlier. The other thing is I feel like I'm pretty in touch with student body, I would think. I go to class, I go to all the athletic events, I converse with students every day, so I feel like I'm pretty in touch with student body. And I took all those emails into consideration.
In the interest of time, I'm happy to say no. With that, Senator Cox.
Michael Cox, University Apartments. In the past few weeks, I've heard several people state that members of the Texas legislature, in preparation for a bill to be introduced in the next session, are interested in the student body's opinion at Texas A&M. Do you know if this is true or not?
Yes, members, I'm not sure. Leo Berman, I believe Representative Leo Berman's from the Tyler area, I believe. That's right. I know he's very interested. He's called me a couple times. And then if you read Fox News, he kind of thinks I'm crazy. Ridiculous. I'm sorry, he used the word ridiculous. I would humbly ask Representative Berman to concentrate on fixing the state that we live in and the country that we live in. And let college students conduct college student business and concentrate on the Texas state legislature.
A brief follow-up, if I may. Do you believe that a bill passed by the Student Senate and a campus-wide vote are both accurate representations of the student body opinion?
I think we need to just do polling. I think, so part two of that. I don't think we need a bill. Like I said earlier, this is not the right issue. This is not the right venue here in the Student Senate for that. But a poll that we conducted that is a non-biased poll, we can send those numbers to them if they request it.
With about 30 seconds left in question and answer, Senator Harris. This Harris. Senator Harris. Okay, Senator Wilson. There's a motion on the floor to extend Q&A for this presentation by 5 minutes. Multiple seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
As the chair, division's been called. All those for, please stand.
Ryan, are you standing?
All those opposed, please stand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the opinion of the chair, the ayes do have it.
Wait, what was your count more?
28.
28 and 14, so necessarily.
That's right at 2/3. We will extend Q&A by 5 minutes. With that, Senator Wilson.
I'll waive it.
Senator Pulliam.
Justin, for the polls, Mr. President mentioned at the end of your presentation, so that we may work along with the administration. My question to you is, how can the SGA function when we have a student senate that works along with the students, yet an executive branch that works along with the administration?
It's interesting you put that way. I don't think I necessarily put it that way. We at this university are a team. I'm not asking you, nor do I, take every decision that the administrators say and agree wholeheartedly. Or do I just come run alongside everything that they do and say, I'll support you. But there is something to students being able to come alongside the administrator and say, you know what, we're going to work with you. I said alongside. I didn't say in their back pocket. I didn't say people that will just voice exactly what they want, but alongside the administration. So I encourage all of us at this university to work alongside the administrators. I truly, in my heart of hearts, don't understand the negative repercussions of working alongside somebody. I'm not sure why that's bad. I'm not sure why that's looked down upon. I'm not sure why we look across the street to Rudder or various areas and see evil people. I think we should work together to help Texas A&M. So I would encourage each and every one of us to work alongside the administration.